TGIF, everyone. What's happening, Captain? Absalom Pianki TV. Before we get things rocking, get this show popping, we're just gonna let y'all know some up and coming shows we got going on. Wednesday night is a double header. We got music from DJ Music himself, internet radio station, classic R&B jams, man. Broadcasting the shows, the beat, and keep the beat. So I hope you don't got two left feet. You smell me? On the Beat Showtime is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's hosted by DJ Music, once again, along with co-host Shaw Wicked Willie. Yeah. And also on the Beat Showtime, we'll be discussing what's going on and taking place within the news. We got the segment going on. It's called Keep the Beat, hosted by Shaw Willie and Classic Ruby. They're going to be talking about certain things, telling stories, taking you back down memory lane. Yeah, they ain't playing no games. Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. We got the show going on entitled Article Reactions, hosted by none other than Shaw Willie and the lovely Classic Ruby. You do have the opportunity to financially support the channel in order to help it grow. So in the very least of that manner, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Now the moment we've all been waiting for. Here's your host, Shaw Willie. Could you please tell the people what's the dilly?
Greetings, TGIF, everyone. How are you? What's going on? How are you doing? Hope you are doing well. I am a little bit, I'm tired. That's the best word I can use. It has been raining and windy, and the weather has just been so strange. You know, when you have your goals or you have your plans that you make for yourself, and you want to go out in the weather and enjoy it, at least you think you can. But if you have the wind against you, like 40 gusts of 30 to 40 miles an hour, well, you're not going to win that battle. You're just not. And then you add a little rain, you're definitely not going to win. So the only dry day that I was able to enjoy was Wednesday. It rained all day yesterday. It rained all day today. It rained all day Tuesday. Monday, I know I got a late start, but I don't recall if it rained or not. I don't recall. But, oh well, that's Chicago for you. But I must say, you know, our winter was great. We didn't have a lot of snow and ice. So you can't complain. Then again, along with that became a little more of a playground for those that wanted to be out doing the wrong thing. So there was a lot of crime going on. Nothing happy to report on that. But today, I will say that there almost was not going to be a show, but we're going to make it work today. We are going to make it work. We're going to talk about health because it's important, regardless of who says what. It is an important thing. And it's something that people don't really talk about. It's like, what's that with taboo? People don't talk about, well, yeah, the illness or sickness, death, those just certain things people don't talk about. But you need to talk about it while you're well, you know? And I like what Susie Orman said many years ago. I think it was in 2002, 2003, something like that. I heard her say on her show, it was on MSNBC at the time. And she said, you need to discuss a prenup while you still like each other. I'm like, wow. It didn't hit me until a little bit later, but I get it. You like each other now. You know, y'all squirmish and woo, I like him. I like her. But there can become a time in a relationship where you don't like each other and you don't want to talk to each other. So while you're talking, talk about some things where while your mind is right, you know? Greetings, everyone. JW, what's going on? Nice to see you. Don Teasy in the house. Take it easy. Vonda H. Let's say it three times, everybody. Vonda H. Vonda H. Vonda H. Sir Obadiah, how are you? And where's Lil Rock at? Is he still in here with his yo? Yo, yo. You know, you are consistent. I must say, I don't care where you go, you got your yo going. Woman, it doesn't matter who the panel is, a woman, a man, uh, probably even cartoons or anime. You probably walk in there going, yo. I like consistency. I love it. It's a great thing. Greetings, greetings, Celine. How are you? It's good though, I must say. And I don't know, I get a chance to meet people around YouTube. I don't take it lightly. I literally get to know your character. You think just because you're avatar and you type something in chat room, I get to know you, who you are, what you may like, what you may not like, if you can take a joke or not, you know. And maybe everyone can do that. I don't know. Is that some type of skill or something? Or maybe you just have to care. I don't know. But I'm able to do that. And that is almost why we didn't have a show today. But like I said, we're going to make it work. And without further ado, let's bring up the lovely and that wonderful co host of mine, Classic Ruby, everybody. Classic Ruby.
No, I'm not. I'm unmuted now, right?
Yes,
Yes?
you are.
Oh, thank God. Okay. Hey, girl. Hey. I know I just deflated there. I was trying, though. I was trying.
It's okay. It's all right.
Right? It's been a week, y'all. It has been a week. It'll probably come up sometime in our discussion today, but I'm not going to ruin it right now at this moment, okay? Because, it's going to be relevant to our serious discussions today, you know? And listen, for anybody who's, sky watching, I just got to say one thing. Y'all, there's about 700 billion streams going on right now that are just there to talk smack and cast aspersions. So y'all go there. Like, we will have a real discussion. So, if you've grown enough and intelligent enough to have a real discussion, then you're in the right place. Welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much. How you doing today, Shar?
I'm better. I'm better. I think I can hang in there. It was, a little tough earlier. I was thinking that I'm not going to be able to do this, but um, I don't know. I got a little quiet time, got a chance to reflect, and what I'm going to show, I'm just, I'll share some stories, and I will also have a video. Um,
Okay.
I think the woman, she's a nurse, she's a teacher, and
Mhm.
she's able to describe different things better than I can. I watched some of it. I'm only going to share about 3 minutes of it just to get the conversation started. But I said,
All right.
well, she can, tell it better than I can. I don't have to worry about um, mispronouncing anything. Let her do
Nice.
it.
All right. All right. I see you. I see you, girl. I see you out here. Okay. That's a good idea.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
hmm Uh, you know, I'm looking forward to this. I can't even a teacher. Shauna's always got something up her sleeve. You know what? I can't even guess. I'm just gonna wait.
I guess I do, but I always like to see things. I don't know. I'm always been curious about something that may not everyone is talking about or interested in. It's just that
hmm
one thing that no one is talking about, and I want to bring that up. That's just me.
hmm
And I don't know if it's important to other people, but that's where my questions come in. It's like I know the obvious, I know the average, but
Right.
the thing that people just don't discuss because it's maybe it could be personal,
hmm
but those are the things I like to know. It
It's
just
fair.
that's
hmm
always been me.
Yeah. For me, well, y'all know I don't like talking about people. I like talking about topics. So I can take any personal topic and turn it into, let's talk about, some higher level something about it. Um, but I think in this case, I don't know. Like, I'm going to tell y'all something from jump right now. So Kevin Samuels was born less than 2 weeks, and I mean in the same year and everything, same month, less than 2 weeks after my mother. Real talk. They are the same age, born in the same year, less than 2 weeks apart. And I think that was really trippy for me. That was just a moment. You just take a moment. You're like, this is
Mm,
65. Wait, 65? My mom's born in 65. This ain't March. What? My mom's born in March. Wait, what? And for those of you who've been around for a while, y'all know like last year, my mom went through a lot, over the last
yes.
couple of years, right? And one thing she went through had to do with her heart, and then cancer, and it was a lot of stuff. So when someone who just has that many echoes of my mom, they pass
Hmm.
away, it's like, wow, like, because you already feel lucky, like, oh, thank God she made it through those are big things to overcome and to be okay today and whatever. She's thriving now, but to see that is just like, wow, I still see her as young. I still see her as a really young mom.
Hmm.
Um, so I think it always throws me off when it's like someone I definitely can identify in my head. I know who you are. I've known you. You've always been around, and then you're gone. It's just like, no, that's young. And I just feel like every single day in the news, like there's this now, right? But I feel like every single day in the news, every other day, especially since the pandemic started, we
Yeah,
lost a lot of people really young. Like,
yeah.
30s, 40s, 50s, a couple 20s. Like, we're just losing people left, right, center, it seems like. And our community, I feel like we're just losing way more of those recognizable names from our community. And we don't talk about it. We really don't. We don't talk about like these global issues that involve everyone taking some accountability, everyone looking at themselves, everyone looking at their choices. We don't have those bigger conversations. So I'm excited to have this one.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it started with me. Let's see, what day? Oh, when I was speaking earlier that I get to, know each person. It may not seem like it, but what you say, what you don't say. I get to know your character, see what you kind of content you like,
Mm-hmm.
and the kind of give me a little bit of more about you. So Um, our brother, uh, Charles Faulkner, for whatever
Mhm.
reason, he popped up in my mind. I know why he popped up in my mind because I hadn't seen him streaming. Now,
Mm.
Charles likes attention, and I know that about him. He may not admit it, but I know that about him because just me. I pick up your character. I've been around you. I see how you respond to different things. That's what he likes. So for not to see him streaming in 3 or 4 days and he just popped up in my mind, I'm like,
Mm.
that's interesting. And I swear to you, I think it was 24 hours, maybe 36 hours. I see a post stating that he was in the hospital and he's still Superman. And he
Mm.
found out he has diabetes. He said he's going to be all right
Wow.
and he'll be back. So, reading that post, I read what was written, but I also know what was not written.
Mhm.
And that's the seriousness of it.
Mhm.
It is very serious what just happened. So, I it started there. So I think that was Monday.
Oh.
I think that Monday or Tuesday. I want to
Wow.
say maybe I thought of him Monday and I saw the post Tuesday.
Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, so then I thought about someone else on Wednesday. That person I talked to, and we had a nice little chat or whatever. And after we had our chat, um, more news come out on Thursday of this death. I'm like, what the? So I was talking to the person from Wednesday. I said, we just talked about some things just yesterday. We just talked about some things just yesterday. And I'm like, wow. And then I talked to a couple of people on Thursday yesterday, and they're going to be okay. But it still all centers around health. And it just
Mhm.
kind of took me out a little bit. I really didn't sleep well at all. But hey, I'm here. I took a couple of naps. I'm here, and that's where it started. It all started for me thinking about Charles on Monday. So
Char,
that's
you're a
why
good person.
I
Because
said it again.
like I said, you're a good person because all of my thoughts started with myself. Like, and I mean, probably that's because I'm a very self-oriented person, i.e., self-centered, selfish, however you want to, phrase the spoiledness of my general disposition. But I'm like, I don't think about people like that. I know it sounds terrible, but like, I don't miss people when they're gone. I just, I assume they're busy. I'm busy and we're fine. And it could be like 7, 8 months before I'll talk to my best friend again. And I don't like miss her while she's gone or wonder if she's okay or wonder how she's been. I honestly don't. Like, I know that sounds crazy and normal people aren't like that, but I don't. I just like in my head, I guess I kind of feel like I've talked to everyone yesterday. It could be 3 years before I talk to you. And when I talk to you, I won't be like, oh my God, it's been way too long. You've been gone for so long. Why have you been gone so long? I won't even say that. I'll be like, yo, how you been, girl? Like I saw you yesterday. Like that's how I am. I don't know what it is. Um, yeah, it's really weird. So whenever I get all like moody and thinking deeply about things like health and whatever, it's normally something very self-centric, right? So in this
Okay.
particular case, it was me yesterday, y'all. I was in the emergency room for a good 8, 10 hours yesterday, which is what made me think of anything, right? It got me in this philosophical place because it's affecting me very directly. And then, I get out of the emergency room and I'm like, what do y'all mean? I hope it ain't true. That's all I kept seeing was, I hope this isn't true. I hope it's not. And I'm like, oh, what's not true? What are y'all talking about? And then I thought it was like a Sansaray moment again
Uh huh.
at first. My bad. I apologize. But I did initially think that. And I was just like, oh, wow. And I think now in retrospect, I was like, now you're saying Charles too. And, I'm thinking back to Yusuf, Latif, and, a few other
Hmm.
people I've known from YouTube. And I'm like, it just stops you for a second. You're like, wait, what? No, I know you. You're fine. Like, I talked to you yesterday. You sounded fine. I saw you on a stream yesterday. You sounded fine. There's nothing wrong with you, sir. That's how I feel. Like, I want to just let you know there's nothing wrong with you. You have to be fine. You're part of my worldview that says we're all okay. So if you're not okay, maybe I'm not okay. Like, that's what it is, I think. It trips people out.
Yeah, and the same with Yusuf. I just didn't see him for a minute. I'm like, he's always posting something, and I'm like, where is he? And it might have been, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 days, maybe. And then I think the next week or the week after, I got the news. And I don't know. Like I said, that's how it is. I just don't, I don't know. It's just something. If I don't know, if I connect with you, if I help you, because you got to think about how YouTube started. It was you're just posting. You're doing uploads. People typed in the comment section, I agree, I disagree, you're crazy, or whatever they type. So that's how you begin to get an idea of how people think. You see their icon. So now you see them once live streaming became popular. Oh, I know that person. Oh, watch out for him. Oh Lord. Just like our buddy, what's my buddy name that comes here? Jack.
Mr. Spade,
Jack
yes.
Spade. I'm like, oh Lord, Jack. Oh, because I just put my head down. I'm like, this is gonna go. Wow. If this man calls me the B word, he's out of here. That's all I'm thinking, because I know what I read. I know, watching him write stuff in chat rooms for years. I'm like, this is this man's character. It's right before me. So, what do you want me to do? This is what I see. And but I think in his old age, I know you're listening, and he's getting more mature. He's getting it. He's like, hey, let me slow down. Life is, doing me well. There's no sense of holding grudges or whatever. But he was at a different place in life too.
Yeah, I mean, 5 years can make a really big difference in your development, and just your priorities. Because I think we need to be in our youth, like, I mean, babies, especially, and small children, they have to be fearless. Otherwise, you would never learn anything. You would not grow and change in any way, because you'd be too scared to fail, too scared to skin a knee. So why would you keep walking if walking just means you fall, right? So I think we're made to be fearless. And then as you're a teenager and a young adult, you have to be fearless again, because you're expected to make a lot of big plunges that are terrifying in life over and over and over again. And, pregnancy, and having children. I mean, if you think about when, hunter-gatherer societies, that stuff could be very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
And then being a father, well, you got to go out now and hunt and make sure your babies are always fed. That's very dangerous. So I think we had to be fearless. And like, there's a part of your brain that just turns off all that self-preservation and that knowing that you're mortal and you could very easily die, and the human body is actually very fragile, and whatever. I think that part of your brain turns off for a while, and then you get to like middle age, that period of your life where if you have kids, they're not old, but they're not young anymore. They can mostly fend for themselves. They might even be coming up on having kids of their own. And now it's like society needs you to stay alive, to, in essence, babysit the children and to teach the youth wisdom. So they need that part of your brain to turn on and say, wait, you're fragile. Hold on. Care about your health. Care about your life. Know you're mortal. Know you could die tomorrow, so you should care about today. And then it turns on and you're like, wait a minute. What? Why didn't I feel like this 10 years ago? I would have made so many better decisions. What the heck is happening, right? Like, I think that's what it is.
I agree. I think that's what it is.
Right?
So I'm giving you all, letting you know, it's too late, but that's how I view things, and that's how I get to know you. So I know you. You don't think I know you. I know you. Don't I know you, Don Peasy? And he knows me too, because he bursts me out. But that's all right. It was true. I accept truth. I own my disrespect.
Right? an occasional catch a flight or whatever. But other than that, yeah, right?
Yeah. Let's see. Welcome, Callie Jane. She came in,
Oh, hey,
and
girl.
let me see. Did I see someone else? I think that was it. Oh, Mama Rain. Welcome. And Tampa Supreme. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm going to go ahead and play the video.
Okay.
Um, I'm only playing about 3 minutes or so, just to give the introduction so she can explain to you about the effects of diabetes.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Started. Oh, no, wait. Before we get started, I have to remind you, I have audio lessons available on my website. If you have a test coming up and you really need that intense studying, that information that most likely is going to be on your exam, be sure to check out my website, nexusnursinginstitute.com. Okay, now that I got my plug in, let's get started. So let's start. Here we go. Diabetes. Diabetes mellitus is a chronic multi-system disease characterized by hyperglycemia. Let's stop right here because I didn't even finish the sentence, and this has told us a whole lot. It's chronic, which means it's something that that patient is going to live with for a long time. It's not something that came on acutely, came on slowly, came on, excuse me, let me back up. It's not something that came up acutely, that came up very quickly, right? This is chronic. The patient's going to be living with this for a while, multi-system. Diabetes affects every single organ in your body, and you're about to learn why, okay? Disease characterized by, and that's your key, hyperglycemia, too much sugar, too much glucose in the blood, which is causing all of this, because at the end of the day, guys, it's your tissues that needs sugar to survive. Well, all that sugar is stuck in your bloodstream and not getting to the tissues, all right? So it's characterized by hyperglycemia related to abnormal insulin production, impaired insulin utilization, or both. Let me explain that. So patient has too much sugar in the blood. Where's the sugar supposed to be? In the tissues, feeding those tissues, right? But it's stuck in the blood. Why is it stuck in the blood? Here's your answer. Abnormal insulin production. Insulin is the key that gets the sugar out of the blood to go to tissues where it belongs. So if the patient's not making enough insulin, that means that that patient doesn't have enough of that key to get the sugar out of the blood into the tissue, so that all of that sugar stays in the bloodstream where it's not supposed to be. So abnormal insulin production, impaired insulin utilization, which means, okay, maybe the patient is making enough insulin, right? But the body's not using it the way it's supposed to. So the patient's actually producing enough insulin, but that insulin isn't unlocking all of that sugar in the blood and allowing it to go to the tissues, or both. This one sentence tells you so much, and so many questions are based on this one sentence. Make sure you guys understand this, okay? Moving on. Look at this. Diabetes is the leading cause of adult blindness. And so many test questions I've seen, and they'll try to trick you. They'll give you a young patient. They'll tell you that, it's a 20-year-old or 22-year-old patient with diabetes. What would they be at risk for? And you're like, oh, they're young. You wouldn't choose blindness. Absolutely. That is a leading cause of blindness in adults here in the United States. End-stage renal disease, and non-traumatic limb amputations. What does that mean? The patient got their limb, the lower extremity amputated, not because they got in a motor vehicle accident or something like that. It's that diabetes that caused them most likely to have some type of infection or decreased circulation that they now have to get it amputated, okay? It's also a major contributing factor to heart disease and stroke. Let's talk about normal glucose and insulin metabolism. Excuse me, guys, I'm still suffering from this cold. So insulin is a hormone produced by the beta cells in the islets of Langerhans of the pancreas. You need to understand that. Those beta cells in the islets of Langerhans and the pancreas, that's what makes the insulin. So any patient that has issues with their pancreas, you need to automatically think they're going to have issues with the blood glucose. Why? Because the pancreas, this is where the insulin's produced. Under normal conditions, insulin is continually released in the bloodstream in small increments with increased release when food's digested. So all day, your body's releasing insulin in tiny little increments all day. But when you happen to eat breakfast, you happen to eat lunch, you happen to eat dinner, it releases way more insulin. Why? Because you're eating food. Food breaks down into sugar. So your body's going to need that insulin to get the sugar out of the blood. But normally, all day, your body is secreting little bits of amounts of insulin, okay? Except for when you eat and it secretes a larger amount. Again, insulin lowers blood glucose. We know that because remember, I told you insulin is the key to get all that sugar out the blood out to the tissues where they belong. Insulin lowers blood glucose and facilitates a stable normal glucose range approximately, and this is your key, 70 to 110. That is your therapeutic range of blood glucose. You need.
All right. All right. So I think I played enough. So she explained how it's to go to the tissues. Now I know when we were, well, I'm not going to say when we were younger, but a lot of older people used to say, baby, you're going to get, eating all that sugar, you're going to get the sugars or you're going to get sugar diabetes. And part of that is true as far as the amount of insulin that's going on. And that's what they meant. They didn't break it down and explain it to us, but that is what they meant. Hey, Sheed, how you doing? How you doing? Queen of the South. What's going on? Welcome on in.
Oh, man, that's a name. Okay, I guess I don't miss people, but Queen of the South, I haven't heard that name in a minute. What's up?
Sheed, we here. Hey,
Of course.
Ones G's, what's happening?
Well, we mention the voice of the angels every week, so I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's
we do. So, now a lot of people think that you have to be a certain, or you can be like a certain weight. I mean, yeah, a certain weight, age. It can affect anyone actually. And I remember hearing that because there's a couple of types, the 1 and 2, and Halle Berry, I think she has type 1. But I was so surprised when I just heard that she had. I'm like, that little lady. Are you kidding me? Really? I'm like, no, you got to stop it. But there are people of all ages. And I do find it more in African Americans and those of Spanish descent. I've seen a lot of paperwork come my way with that ethnicity, I will say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's actually a fact, whether we like the fact or not, that heart disease and diabetes are two things that, Black people die from at significantly higher rates than any other population. And what people don't realize, right? Because we know type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, that's the one that everyone's really always talks about because, it's predominantly, not always, but 99% of the time, it's caused by diet and exercise factors, which means you can control it by diet and exercise. So that means if you're eating really badly, right, you're not working out, you're very sedentary, then okay, you're likely to develop type 2 diabetes. What people don't realize is that you don't have to be overweight. Right? Actually, you can get overweight without eating the kinds of foods that throw your blood sugars off so wildly and keep depleting your stores of blood of the stuff that balances your blood sugar, right? Insulin, your natural insulin. So that's the first thing. That means there's a lot of thin people out there who do have type 2 diabetes. But the crazy thing is, a lot of people don't know, is type 1 diabetes you're born with, even though most people don't tend to get their first real attack of it until childhood. You're born with it. It's a thing you have. And most type 1 diabetics are not overweight. And it's because from such a young age, they actually have to not only, they're taking this injection that they have to take, but they have to really closely monitor their food intake. So they
Mm-hmm.
tend to, from very young ages, they can't be eating all that sugar and crap and drinking tons of sodas and stuff like everybody else, right? Because even with the needle shot a few times a day, that's not enough. They have to watch what they eat. So type 1 diabetics tend not to be overweight, if we're being honest, right? So
And I'm going to have to ask you and also agree with that part of it. But I haven't done any research, but I'm going to say with the information that or the people I've seen, a lot of them were Caucasians with the type 1. Is that what you're finding or what information you have?
from what I have seen now, I didn't see that much of a discrepancy as far as type 1 versus type
Oh,
2. I didn't see it personally, but I also wasn't looking specifically for that just because I have people in my family who have type 1 diabetes. Um,
okay.
right? Like actually I have a few people in my family who are type 1 diabetics. So I guess when I was younger, I used to think that way, though, not knowing, for example, my grandmother had type 1 diabetes. I had no idea. I used to think that way, though, but I think it's because of the Babysitter's Club, those books. Um, so
Mhm.
that girl Stacy in it, right? She has type 1 diabetes, and she's a white blonde girl. So
Okay.
I don't know. I used to think that that's what it was, but I don't know. I mean, it could be. I mean, I didn't, like I said, I didn't specifically look for those statistics when I was like, looking up statistics for tonight and whatnot. Um, so it could be. It could be. I just know that the overall rate for diabetes, and specifically medication dependent diabetics, because that's an important factor too. Um, because like I said, you can develop type 2 diabetes and then through diet and exercise manage it eventually, right? But you have to work towards it. And otherwise, if you don't take your medications, your diabetes keeps getting worse. You can lose your eyesight, you can lose limbs, you can lose your hearing. Like there's a lot of other things that can develop from diabetes, and I don't think people are very well educated on that. Um, whereas I think that the people who, when we're talking about type 1 diabetics, we don't talk about them as much just because they
Right.
know, because they have to take that shot. No matter what, they have to take that shot. Without that shot, things are going to go bad really fast.
Yeah, there was a singing group. I know it's boys. That's all I remember. I think it was a group of 5, and one of the young men, and I do mean young. I think he wasn't even quite a teen, and he was on the road and all that. He was taking the shots and stuff, and
Mm-hmm.
he just happened to be Caucasian. So that's why I had asked, did you know any of that? Because um, I know Halle Berry has Caucasian in her family. I think her mother is. So I was wondering, was it linked to that? Because that I didn't look up or anything. I just know a little bit more about type 2.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I think that's the thing. It's an important to discuss things like I'm gonna say, I'm not saying that we shouldn't care about type 1 diabetics. I'm just saying that there's a difference between something that, in essence, you're bringing on yourself, right, through your choices, and that therefore you can avoid altogether by making different choices, and that you can heal by making different choices and making a better lifestyle, choice and change. So I think it's important, and that's probably why we do focus on type 2 and why we should,
Yes.
um, right? Because it seems as though people don't understand that, like, hey, buddy, like people always understand the effects, the devastating effects of type 2 diabetes when they're already in the position that they're going to lose a foot, right? Or that they're going to lose a hand, they're going to lose an arm. Then they're like, oh, but if only I had known. Like they told you. I know they told you, right? But it's like it doesn't process. It doesn't seem like it's as important, right? It doesn't seem like maybe they're just trying to sell you on some medications you got to take because you know how the system is and blah blah blah. We don't trust the medical system, no how, right? So yeah, right. So I think that's what it is. They don't realize, no, this is a really serious thing. You don't understand diabetic neuropathy, right? Putting it in a different way, what diabetes can do is in essence make you not be able to feel anything, right? So you
Hmm.
know your foot goes numb or your hands go numb and you can't feel it. It does that, but not like in the way where it's like pins and needles and you're so hyper aware of it. You don't realize you can't feel the soles of your feet properly. And so when you get a cut and then that cut's not healing and then it's getting infected and it's getting down to your bone, well, the reason why we don't let those types of things develop is because we feel the pain, right? And the pain is what makes us baby it or not walk on it or go to the doctor, right? But if you don't feel the pain, then you don't know what's coming. So then it gets to your bone, it's deeper down, the infection starts to spread. Now it's going to get to your blood or it causes gangrene, right? Like whatever. And it's like,
Hmm.
then you're so shocked and surprised. But like, that's why they try to tell you, like, dude, once we find this in your system, you got to start controlling it now. Because a lot of the horrible effects that it has, it's not like this warning sign that's going to go off. Hey, you're at 4% developing blindness, right? It's just going to happen. And then once it happens, there's no turning back the clock. Like, that's it. Now you have gangrene and you're going to lose a foot. Oh, that's it. Now your eyesight is permanently damaged and sorry. And that's all. Like, or now you have a heart attack and that's all. Like there's not a way to reverse it. It's not like the flu or like a
Hmm.
throat infection where once it gets really bad, they just give you some pills and it goes away. Like that's not the damage it does is permanent. And I don't think we process that, you know?
Yeah, I remember a friend or our neighbor, or you can still say a friend, that my mom had, and she was visiting us, and my mom was saying, "You do not look well at all." And the woman was trying to feel better, and she just did not like water. Coca-Cola was her friend. She loved Coca-Cola, and she drank the 2 liter every day. That I am a witness of. She drank that every day, and she had my mom called the ambulance, and they came and got her. She was laying on our couch, and she was hospitalized for a while, and it was diabetes, and she still struggled with maintaining, a diet, making that change, because she was in her, I think she was in her 40s. I think, yeah, she was in her 40s, and she liked what she liked, and it was a little tough for her. And I didn't really see much of a change before I moved. Um, yeah, I moved first. I was thinking that she moved, but I'm the one that moved. And when I, last talked to her, I didn't see much of a change. Her eating habits were pretty much the same, and it may be because maybe the shot she was taking stabilized it, but you do have to be very cautious with that disease. It's no joke. And as far as eyesight, oh my goodness, the amount of people that eyesight is affected, it's no joke now. They have a lot of more
Mm-hmm.
testing. They're not playing when it comes down to testing. Normally, you go get your eyes checked, every year, whatever. They're like, okay, now we want to dilate. We want to look behind your eye. We want to do this. We want to do that. They're looking for everything. They're checking, what's your history, because it's so important to catch whatever they can to try to help you or get you to help yourself, so you don't go in that direction. And
Mm-hmm.
um, who else do I know? I remember, Miss our neighbor. Um, oh, in the poor neighborhoods, like well, I would say the far south side of Chicago, we have these dialysis places. A lot of people in wheelchairs, limbs are missing, and I would say the average age of those people, I would say in their 50s, 50, 60, somewhere up in there. That's the average age. And our
Wow.
community just, whether it's lack of knowledge, able to choose the better foods. I don't know if they have the information, or is it when something happened, that's when you get the information. I don't know. I don't know who's,
Mhm.
I can't just point it on anything, but I do say it is very important that if you have it, please try to go in the right direction and maintain, get your weight down, or whatever your doctor is telling you, because it is something that's serious. This woman said chronic. When she read off this page, she said chronic.
Mhm.
That is serious.
Mm.
So
That's the
please
thing,
beware.
though. All these things are chronic. Like, by
Yeah.
definition, they're chronic. Like a heart attack, right? If
Hmm.
you think about it, it's an acute, it's an immediate thing. It happens once, right? The heart attack just happened right there. Boom. But it didn't happen out of nowhere. You had to have some chronic condition that had been building up for weeks, months, years, to slowly be impacting your heart, your blood circulation, maybe your HRV, whatever it is, to then eventually lead to this heart attack, right? Your muscles, something, right? It's not like, I think that's the problem too, is that, our community specifically, that's what we think about. We think about, oh, well, a heart attack is just something that boom happens, right? It's this one moment in life, and you only get like that one moment. But it's like, but yeah, but no, it was years. It was years of you smoking or eating crap or never walking and letting your heart get weaker and weaker, or whatever it was. It was years of that led to that moment. And I don't think that we focus enough on all of those years, because it's I think we're lazy. I know I'm lazy. I'm gonna speak for myself. I'm very lazy. I will own that fully. I'm a very lazy person. Um, right? But also because you feel fine until you don't, right? And as long as you feel fine, you think you are fine. And as long as your very basic physical and your very basic blood tests come back fine, then you must be fine. And that's why the fat acceptance movement, right? The Lizzo movement,
Hmm.
um, that's why they're getting away with this narrative of fat doesn't cause disease, fat doesn't kill people, fat doesn't this, fat people are healthy too, health at every size, right? That's why they're getting away with it, because it's a bunch of 20-year-olds who are saying, all of my test results say I'm fine. Yeah, because you're 20. So
Hmm.
all your test results are still fine now because you're very young. But, how many super morbidly obese, or as they call them, infini fat people, I swear to God, that's what they call themselves, infini fat
Oh.
people, yeah, do you see who are 65 walking around? None? Oh, oh,
Ding, 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 ding.
right? Should tell you something. How many of those people who are your same infini fat weight do you see not needing a walker or one of those automated carts to get around Walmart after the age of 45? Wait, none? Oh, well then, maybe, right? Like, it's not the fact that you're fine and you're healthy, it's the fact that all of these conditions are chronic conditions. And it's not just chronic from the time you're diagnosed with it, it's all of the moments, all those years, all of those choices you made leading up to the time you were diagnosed with it. These are chronic diseases made from chronic bad choices for years.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I can understand when the mental health talk that we had, that um, some men find there's a problem when they would go. It could be the community. I will say that because I'm trying to remember. Well, I'll give you this story and maybe it'll come to me. A friend of mine used to go to the doctor with her grandmother, and they would go to this community center. And she would sit there as a young girl in the waiting room, and she noticed that everyone had the same thing. Now, as a little girl, she was confused like, why is the doctor telling all these people the same thing? So she was up on something. She didn't know it then, but it wasn't true. It was just in that community. When you went to see that doctor, you were going to be diagnosed with whatever it was. And my friend had told her grandmother, Grandma, I don't like this doctor. Every time we go here, he tell everybody they got this, that, and the other. Now I don't remember if the grandmother changed doctors or not, but a lot of times in the poor communities, they all kind of go to a particular center. The closest center to you, that's where you went to. That's where your, um, at the time they were called medical cards. That's where you go for your services. You go see that doctor over there. Now, there's a lot of more choices now. Whew, thank God. Because if you were sent to just a neighborhood, it's not going to really fare well for you. Some of those
Mm.
doctors will, I'm not going to say that they volunteer their time, but they're forced to give some time toward their licensing hours, I think it is, their residency. I'm not sure how it's said, but they only practice there for so many hours, so many times a week, and they don't like those neighborhoods, but they're forced to be there. And your health can be up in, that person that's having a bad day, that doctor's hands. Is very possible. Also, people of the neighborhood and the poor communities, they don't go far. They won't go far. But like I said, there's a lot of more places to go now, and I am so glad of that. Um,
Mhm.
I used to question why we have all these darn Walgreens. It's like Walgreens is just popping up everywhere. I can go. Um, I think I noticed it. No, I'm not even gonna say I noticed it in the downtown area, but I think when I started becoming of age and would work downtown or go downtown for shopping, I noticed, wow, it's a Walgreens like on every other block. But in the community, there's just Walgreens. Here's a new Walgreens. 3 blocks over here, there's a Walgreens. You trying to get a prescription, the doctor or the nurse or whoever, where you like your prescription? Oh, I like it over on State Street. Well, which location? This one, that one, this one, that one, or that one. Oh, um,
Mm.
so it's, they're popping up because a lot of people are on medication because of some of the things that we are going to discuss tonight.
Mhm. Yep. I mean, I wish more people were, if not on medication, I wish more people honestly were just um at least seeing a doctor about their health instead of, seeing their friendly neighborhood YouTube content creator that normally
Hmm.
tells them something that makes them feel good,
Yeah.
rather than something that's, medically accurate in any way. I mean, I know it sounds crazy to say, but again, with the fat acceptance movement, what's crazy is that these days, social media actually creates the narrative, right? And so, the queen asked, "What's infinity fat?" Infinity fat is 6x and higher, or a size 34 and higher. And at Torrid, there's a store
Wow.
called Torrid. It's for very overweight people. It's a Torrid 6. And so the fat spectrum starting at 1x to 2x is small fat, which is 1x to 2x, a size 18 and lower, or Torrid 00 or 1. And then there's mid fat. that's 2X to 3X, size 20 to 24, or a torrid size 2 or 3. Super fat, which is the 4X to 5X, size 26 to 32, and a torrid 4 to 6. Now, and then I told you about InfiniFat, and then they came up with death fat. Now that doesn't have a size or a weight class. It's just basically above all these other ones. And it was a term used to reclaim your so big that you can't get out of the bed weight. I'm being really serious here. And they're claiming all this and then, using really bad science and really bad logic, really skewed facts to try to prove that being overweight is not unhealthy. Weight has nothing to do with health, and that your average InfiniFat person is normally, just as healthy or unhealthy as your average thin person who's in shape and works out 5 days a week. And there are some major problems with that, obviously, right? Like, this is not to try to invalidate, someone who's overweight or whatever. Like, yeah, you are a person. You deserve love. You deserve respect, right? I mean, I think by now those are basic principles of humanity, yes. But just because you deserve love and respect doesn't make it true that being incredibly overweight is not unhealthy. If it wasn't, then they wouldn't mind the word obese. They would just claim obese, super morbidly obese. Obese is just a medical term, right? That's it. It's just obese. What? Just a medical term referring to, but they don't like it. Why? Because they know it's actually the reality, right? So it's like, we're going to make it cute. InfiniFat. That's why I keep using InfiniFat, because it just sounds so ridiculous to me. But at the same time, it sounds equally stupid to me that you have a bunch of skinny fat people who are walking the earth right now, right? They don't work out either. They just eat pure crap. McDonald's, whatever takeout every day of the week, right? They drink, they smoke. They're not doing anything for their heart health or their health in general, but because aesthetically they're more pleasing, right? Aesthetically, they're not overweight, then they equate that with healthy. Like, no, how do we get it so lost that we don't understand what healthy means? We don't understand health, like, in any way. Like, it's really crazy.
It is. We'll speak a little bit more, but let's welcome Fonda. She may have something to add immediately. Hello, Fonda.
Oh, hey, girl.
Hey, Char. Hey, Ruby.
How are you?
I am doing well, and this is a really great topic. When it comes to diabetes and weight and health, it is very, very individual thing. Um, People should actually, have a relationship with their doctors. People should see their doctors, annually and get the necessary tests, to see, if these are factors, that could, affect them. Also know your family history. Some people don't know their family history. Like Joe was saying, he doesn't know his family history, but that does play a part. I mean, I remember a time when I was a kid, when everybody in my family, they were fairly healthy. I was a kid, 10 years old. So, everybody was 20, 30, 40 years old and everybody was healthy. Then fast forward, 10, 15 years, I started seeing people get sick and I'm like, oh, what's the sickness? What's the illness? And diabetes was one of the first ones that, came to mind. I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was because of sugar, and, of course, the old people tell you, oh, if you eat too much candy, you'll get diabetes. So,
Right.
you're like, oh my God, if I eat candy, I'm going to get diabetes. Oh my goodness. But see, the thing is that a lot of the illnesses that plague us in the Black community are preventative. And, a lot of times, we're told that you got to take away, the good taste, to have healthy foods, and a lot of people don't want to make that sacrifice. And it's just, you have to make a choice. I mean, you can not, make healthy choices and, party and run your body into the ground. And you may last a good 20, maybe 30 years of not taking care of yourself before things start to fall apart. My thing is that you only have the one body. and it's best to take care of it the best that you can, before these illnesses come about. But then once the illnesses come about, it's yours. It's yours, and pretty much a lot of times it's yours forever. You can't go back to not having had it.
Yeah. And see, as adults, I would say you have responsibility. You can make decisions. As a child, maybe not so much. You're a 10-year-old, you see a commercial. Hey, mom, it says that butter is better than margarine. Girl, boy, you gonna get this margarine on this whatever rice I'm gonna put. You better go and eat this. So, you're not going to have a lot of children telling their parents, hey, you need to buy this and buy that. But as you become an adult and you can make, healthy decisions, do so. And we know everyone that's on YouTube are six figures. So if they got six figures, then hell, they can make some healthy decisions. That's what I'm going to say about that. And you see why, there was a lot of talk about the first Manosphere meetup. People made fun and laughed at the guys because they're like, oh, you are the guys that are behind these avatars. Look at your stomach, and you want a size 4, and you're making fun of these ladies and stuff. So you think about it. Men have a higher muscle mass, so they really can slim up better than we can. Or, well, really slim down. They can slim down better than we can. They got that muscle mass. It take us maybe twice as long, but they can do it. So you must say, well, hey, when are you going to take responsibility for your health? Because it is important. Um, I would not go around and go and criticize people in their pictures and their avatars, anything. I would never do that. But I would say, hey, guys, when is it time to pay attention to what's going on, that people are passing away more often, and we're not hearing the word, it's coming from the pandemic, you know? So whether, even if it was, what are you guys going to do? Get this information out. Let them know, hey, we may need to do something a little bit different. The lady's going to be there. We can try to get some soon, but we want to live a little bit longer so we can get some. So when we climb on top of that
Mm-hmm.
girl, hey, we, get off and get off, not metaphorically and, you know, I'm just saying, just saying.
Oh boy, get off and get off. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's something to think about.
Oh yeah. So what's this?
I know they had, this is the blood pressure chart. They had changed it. Let me see if I can remember that year. Mm, I'm gonna say 4 years ago. I think they changed it 4 years ago across the board.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they changed it, because I was speaking to the nurse and she said, yeah, they just changed. She said, according to your number, she said, your numbers are fine. She said, but the way they just changed it, she said, now you're in that pre-high blood pressure, because I was 132 over whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
But before they changed it, I was fine, and just say everybody was fine if they had those numbers. Um, but this is a chart that you can use that is pretty average. There are some out there that's a little bit lower, like if you go over 120, you in trouble. Um, you're in the high blood pressure. I've actually seen some charts, not pre, but high. Um, but do find out what your numbers are. They have kiosks in the back of some stores. I know Target used to have it. I haven't been at a Target in so long. I don't know if they do still have it or not. But they used to have little places you can go in the back there and put your arm in there and get tested. If they don't anymore, I would ask. I'm like, Do you all have anyone? Do you have a cuff that you guys will take it? Because they may, do it that way. So you don't have to make an appointment with a doctor necessarily just to get those numbers. Um, call around.
Or
Call.
even like I think Walmart, and they have it to where you can stick your finger in the little blood pressure monitor thing. It's not even a cuff
Oh,
for the arm, it's like a finger. You stick your
okay.
finger in it and it gives you like, preliminary, basically, what your blood pressure is.
Okay, good deal. Yeah, I haven't seen that in Chicago, but yeah, they have that. Take advantage of it so you get some idea. So yeah,
I mean, if you have a little bit of extra money, you can just buy one.
Very,
It's
very
just
true. Very true. They're
yeah.
not expensive. They're truly not expensive. They're under $100. I want to say they're under $50
Mhm.
to
yeah,
buy a blood pressure monitor.
Yeah, they're pretty affordable. Because here's the thing: what a lot of people don't realize also is that just from you talking while the test is going on, right? That could affect what your results are reading. The fact that you walked into the store, sat down, and whatever could affect what your results are reading. And your blood pressure actually does change and fluctuate throughout the day. So even the time of day can make a difference about what your blood pressure is. So if you have, a medical history, either yourself or in your family of certain things, that blood pressure would be an indicator for, it would be a good idea to have one. And you maybe take your blood pressure in the morning and at night and you record it, because what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take it several times over the course of a week or a month and then average it, right? And kind of like add them all up together, divide it by the number of results that you took, and then that will tell you what your average blood pressure is for that week or for that month, and that gives you a good idea. And you can actually also use that information. There are websites you can go to and
Hmm.
put it in, and they'll make like a chart for you, so you can see, ooh, mornings my blood pressure is really high, or maybe at night after work my blood pressure is really high, or whatever. And you can kind of track your blood pressure and say, ooh, every time I go out to that restaurant on Friday for the next 3 days, my blood pressure's not so hot. Hmm. Maybe I shouldn't be eating that when I go out. Or you know what I mean? It helps you kind of make some decisions as well to help you tailor your choices. But, you at least do it once in a while. At
that's
least.
that's great. I'm making a note to get the information as far as online because I would like to know what that chart is that you can go and then put that in there. I
Mhm.
guess we have it here, but I will talk to you about that a little bit later. That's
All right.
great.
Mhm.
That's really
Mhm.
great. I'd like to welcome to the panel Joe. Welcome, welcome. How are you?
Oh, hey.
Hey, hey, what's going on, Sean? Thank you for having me up.
And
Classic Groovy has been a long time.
Yes, sir.
And Miss Vonda.
Hey, Joe.
So, hey, hey. But no, you're talking about a very interesting topic, and it's something that we need to talk about more because a lot of people are affected by it.
yeah,
Like I
Right.
said, age and body size and all that good stuff. I thought it would never be me type of thing, because I'm not 500 pounds and this and that. I'm relatively active.
Mhm.
And you wake up one morning and you go to the doctor, and I'm like, nah, man, you talking about, I'm like, I got this little finger thing that my fingers are hurting a little bit or whatever. My hand is hurting, and the next thing you know, well, yeah, your blood sugar's like 2,000 or whatever. I'm like, what? And
Wow.
yeah, it's like not that high, but it was crazy. But my A1C was like really off the charts. And I'm like, well, I'm not eating a lot of sugar. We don't drink sodas around here. It's like that kind of thing. And I'm like, I was like, well, they're like your pancreas or something must have just like stopped producing insulin. And the next thing you know, man, you taking the shots and all this other stuff, and you feel like a pincushion, and
oh,
you get your days and your moments, man, when you just too tired almost. And then and then you got to watch it because you end up on a hamster wheel of medications. Well, we can give you this for this, and this for this, and this for this. Okay, but you realize that one that you gave me for the other problem actually causes my sugar levels to go up. So now you got to figure out what to do for that. So it's crazy. And heart health is probably the most important one. They keep an eye on that, and your liver and your kidneys. But heart health is the most important one. Thank God I never had high blood pressure. But if you do, shoot, it's even worse.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Because a lot of times, see, that's why they call it the silent killer, because
Right.
people don't, and women, you have to understand, black women are actually dying. It's the number one killer of black women.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually heart disease. People think, oh no,
Yeah.
women don't get it. Yeah, you do.
You
Yeah, you
don't
do.
feel it until it happens. And so
Right,
you're right, it is a silent killer.
right.
It's like when it comes to diabetes, like the woman was saying, it the way I liken it to, it wreaks havoc throughout your entire body,
It does.
and you don't feel it because it's
Hmm.
through your vascular system, and through your entire body you have vessels. You have vessels in your head,
Hmm.
vessels in your heart, you have vessels in your kidney, you have vessels in your eyes. So that's why diabetes affects all of those. If you can have a stroke,
Hmm.
you can have a heart attack, you can have kidney failure, you can lose your eyesight, you can lose your
Aneurysms.
hearing. All
Yep.
of that is affected by diabetes,
Hmm.
you
And
know.
that's what I mean. That's why, as a matter of fact, I just had my eye exam about a month ago, because I'm religious about all that stuff. I'm not the super black man that I'm like, I don't refuse to go to the doctor. I mean, no, I don't refuse to go to the doctor. I go
Okay.
if I'm feeling something weird. I'm like, yo, baby, let's get in the car, let's go. We going to the doctor today. But because I'm like, you don't want to get caught in something where the situation that we have now that we're talking about this individual, that they're probably the signs were there, probably big as day.
Right.
And when we want to sit there and play, Super Negro, as my mother would call it, you want to play Super Negro, and the next thing you realize, when that one time that you play Super Negro too much,
Mm-hmm.
nobody's gonna be able to do chest compressions, and a freaking defibrillator. It's not gonna be around to
Right.
get you out of there. And it's not to be played with. Yo, brothers, if you out there, that your listening ancestors, if you out there listening to this, listen, go out there, get yourself checked out. Don't go by that crap that they tell you about age. Like, say, well, yeah, no, you don't need to do what do they say, colon cancer until like 50 and all this other junk like that, and breast cancer too. No, that's not true. Because let me tell you, my ex-wife ended up with metastatic breast cancer at 35.
Wow.
So, you know,
Yeah. And they
so
don't
it
even check
happened.
for breast cancer anymore. They used to
Yeah,
in Canada when I was
yeah.
younger. They used to test like with your physical. If you were a woman, once you had a period, they would check you for breast cancer. They don't
Right.
check anymore now until after menopause. And it's not
Hmm.
because like they said it's not a useful, when you just do the self exam or it's not as useful of a test because your breast tissue is so dense
Yep.
that
Right.
they weren't catching a lot of the very small tumors anyway. So it wasn't until they were really
Really
advanced,
big, yeah.
Right.
right?
And
Not
that's what
because
happened with her.
people were less likely. Yeah, exactly, right? It's not
That's
because she was
exactly
less
what happened with
likely.
her. We didn't feel
It's
it.
just
I'm like,
happened.
I didn't feel it.
Hmm.
Nobody felt it. She didn't feel it. And the doctor
Yeah,
showed it to us. I'm like, well, this thing is pretty big here. Why would nobody not be able to feel that?
yeah.
And that's what happens. And yeah, and I know like in Canada they did that, and like some of the American hospitals and health plans are doing that too. They'll make
Hmm.
you wait till like way later on.
Yeah.
So people are paying for it themselves. But
And you know what's crazy too is that people think that cancer hurts. And I think that's
mhm,
another huge misnomer is that they think that a tumor hurts. So
mhm,
the reason why I know that the opposite is true is I was my boyfriend when I was like 19, 20, his
mhm,
mom had a lump in her breast. It was very painful, and that's what made her scared was because it was painful. And
right,
so she went to the doctor. It was a whole thing, and they was, it's probably not cancer. And they said the number one reason why we don't think it's cancer is because it's painful. Tumors don't hurt, right?
right,
They may later affect something that hurts, like if it gets
mhm,
big enough, it starts blocking off an artery or something. But the actual tumor itself wouldn't hurt, and that's why cancer is so insidious, is because it doesn't hurt as it's growing, right?
right,
The ball doesn't hurt, and so that's what a lot of women, they go, oh, I'm used to kind of, breast tissue is kind of lumpy. Let's be real. If you ever gave yourself a
Mhm.
it's lumpy
Girl, yes,
anyway. It kind
every
of feels
month I thought I
weird,
had cancer because I'm like, I feel
right?
a lump. This is a lump. I'm like, is this the right kind of lump or is this the
Lump.
wrong kind of lump? I'm like, what
Mhm.
the heck? I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
Yeah, but she
Right.
felt my ex didn't feel my ex wife didn't feel any lump whatsoever. I didn't feel any lump whatsoever. And they tell you the traditional, like you said, do the
Mhm.
breast self check exam, da 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 da. She went in for something else. It's a regular physical thing, and that's when they found something odd and some sort of anomaly, and it was like, okay, and then when they came back in and said, we found something that they found breast. I was like, get out of here. I mean, I like, man. But like I said, she was 35 at the time.
Mm.
So it's something where people, like I said, don't go for that age nonsense that they tell you. I mean, I
Yes.
know brothers that have gotten not pancreatic, you call it prostate cancer
prostate.
in their 30s. Matter of fact,
Hmm.
kid I went to school with, we went to college together and everything. He got it at like 36. So
Yeah.
it's one that,
Yeah.
I mean, if you get tested for it, like I said, I go to the VA and I have my own, we have our own, regular health plan for the family. But
Mhm.
the VA, the saving graces with that is, I don't pay out of pocket for it, which is good. but
Okay.
um, but it can be something that you don't want to get jammed up later on. Oh yeah, there's something that's going to bother you later on. Well, how much later on, Doc? I mean, like 75 years later on,
Right.
I'm like, man, 65, 75, 80 years later on, type of later on, or like 2 years from now. We can go ahead and cut this out right now. so, so we can go work this out right now, But it's
Mhm.
it's something
Hmm.
that, I mean, I would tell anybody, don't play with it. Keep your health up. Like I joked about it in the sense of, I said, man, weird stuff start happening when you turn 50. Well, I'm 57 now, but I said, the 50s is like when all this stuff starts falling apart. I said, you start doing this and, falling apart, forgetting stuff. I'm like, man, oh man. But it's like, it's no joke though. And like I said,
Well,
with the diabetes thing,
Mhm.
unfortunately, like I said, with me, man, I was an orphan. So the thing about it, I don't know with the original family.
Okay.
hmm.
And so that's why I was, like you was asking me, Ruby, earlier.
Hmm.
No, I'm already thinking about doing that because um, I did one. The VA, they're doing this million the genetic DNA testing, but they won't tell you the results. so
Mm.
of the DNA test. So I have to do it myself, where I can have the doctor, basically go in, put it in, and I just want to know the medical part of it all because
Hmm.
adoption records are very hard to break open in New York. In New York State.
Right.
Yeah, they're very hard to break open. And that was the city of New York. So it's even worse with them than it is with the state of New York. And so it's like, and unless the person on the other side, which would be my mother, my real mother, would say yeah to it, I would never know.
Oh,
So
Wow.
right.
yeah,
Right.
so they keep you
Wow.
in a lurch. Yeah, they keep you in a serious lurch with that. So it's kind of like, okay, you rather not let me know. Yeah, I mean, well, I know that, like sickle cell, for instance. I know I don't have it, but because I've been
Okay.
tested for it. But my stepson, I mean, my wife now, she has half of the trait or something like that. He has sickle cell.
Hmm.
So we go through a very painful experience at least twice a year.
Mm.
We're in the
Hmm.
hospital, blood transfusions, the hospital thing. And like I said, he's a senior year at Auburn, matter of fact, University. And sometimes he has to like do it from the hospital room, do his classes and stuff because sickle cell. I didn't realize how bad it was with people that have it. Until you see them in the hospital, it's like, oh snap, in such pain that morphine, they're doing all kinds of stuff to get the pain down.
Oh boy.
Hmm.
So, but the thing
Yeah.
of it is, yeah, a lot of people have a part of something, but you don't know if your partner has it until you have a kid, and then it's like, oh, well, by the way, you know, I have
Yep.
this,
Yep.
and by the way, I have that, like, So, I mean, it's good that you guys are talking about this now, though. It's sometimes it takes a situation or a person to no longer be in the land of the living to make people think about it.
And
Oh,
You
it
that's
know,
the
makes me
thing.
think every single time. Every time
Yeah.
someone passes away, it makes me think about my own mortality.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, of course, you don't think, oh, okay, it's not going to be me today, but I know one
Hmm.
day it's going to be me. We're all going to get our turn.
Yeah, it's all gonna be me. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always gonna be one of us. Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to get your turn, but today ain't it. And I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
good. I got some more time. You
Yeah.
know.
yeah,
But
yeah.
and the thing about it is, man, I mean, a lot of people out there starting to talk about it because you're hearing it in different chat rooms. Because you
Good.
got to think of the seriousness of it. Because nobody thought about yesterday he was talking.
Hmm.
Today he's no longer in the land of the living.
Yep,
So
yep.
mortality is,
Well, you know what's
is promised to no
crazy?
one.
I don't know if you were
Mhm.
here at the very beginning when I said Kevin Samuels and my mom were born the exact same year, the exact same month. He was born 8 days after her.
Okay,
Something
okay,
I
yeah.
didn't know that until the news reports came out and I saw his birthday and I went, holy, that's my mom's birthday. What? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and over the last couple of years, a bunch of stuff happened. My grandmother, who actually had breast cancer when she was in her early 40s. I didn't know. No one told me. I was alive, just no one told me.
Right.
So I actually only found out maybe when she got the second cancer, I think it was, which is ultimately what she sort of ended up dying from. She was dying from that cancer, but then a Rona-like pandemic happened, one of the flu viruses in 2019 that they thought would be the next worldwide pandemic. She got that in a
Okay.
nursing home. That's how she died. But
Okay.
immediately after that, my mother, who had been the healthiest person that anyone knows,
Mm-hmm.
suddenly was having problems. And honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. At first, we were writing her off. She's like the healthiest person on earth.
Mm-hmm.
She was a young 52. It's not like she was really young seeming. And we just thought it was grief. And then one day she convinced her husband to bring her to the hospital. And I'm gonna be real with you. When I heard she was in the ER, I rolled my eyes like, whatever. But we got there and there was
Mm-hmm.
something wrong with her heart. She had, I can't remember, it was some type of fibrillation. Ultimately, her heart was racing for no reason, right? It's like over 200 beats a minute, racing. Um, and she was having multiple attacks of this every single day. Now, this is something normally we might just brush off. Your heart's just acting a little whatever, but that can stress out the muscle and wear it out and weaken it over time, actually, and literally lead to strokes and heart attacks.
Hmm.
So that was
Mm-hmm.
only a few years ago. My mom was only like 52.
Right.
And then after that, she actually got colon cancer as well, and so she was just treated for that. But the heart thing, going back to that. So yesterday I was in the emergency room and I thought I was there because I thought maybe I had an ectopic pregnancy or something like that because of my
Mm.
abdominal pain. I want to be
Right.
clear, this was abdominal pelvic pain. It was not chest pain, arm pain.
Right.
I had a little bit of, I felt like I was a little bit out of breath, but not like, my lungs hurt or anything. So I just thought I was just tired, pain. That's why I can't
Mm-hmm.
breathe. No, come to find out, actually, I had my cardiac enzymes were elevated. I had a borderline um, EKG,
Mm.
with a bunch of different abnormal heart rhythms. So I wasn't actually having a heart attack yet, but there's definitely something wrong with my heart. I'm 37
Right.
years old, right?
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so out of all the things I thought I was going to walk out of the hospital yesterday with,
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't on my radar. I'm 37 years old. It was not on my radar that I was coming out of there with heart and stroke issues at all. And when I called my mom and told her, she freaked out. And the reason why is because we had three women in our church about 7, 8 years ago who all died within a year of each other, all
Mm.
in their very early 30s, 30 and 30 to 32, from
Mm-hmm.
strokes. All of them from
Wow.
strokes.
Mhm.
These are black women in their early 30s. I'm a black woman in my mid 30s. So something is going on, and none of us were overweight, right? Just so it's clear
Right.
again, right? It's not about being
Mhm.
overweight. None of us had diabetes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so there's other things going on right now, and I'll say when we say the black community is super at risk for these things, we really are. And oftentimes we don't know that that's what's wrong. And with women, especially, women often present, when it comes to a heart attack, we present with abdominal pain issues. So we never put two and two together. We might have a lot of heartburn, and heartburn could be connected to a heart attack, but we brush it off. And so you could have a bunch of mini strokes or mini heart attacks, before you have a big one that actually sends you to the hospital and not even realize that you have all this heart damage that's been
Hmm.
ongoing because you're not looking for you just think it's a stomach thing, right? Maybe you ate some bad this or whatever it is. And the same thing can happen with men too. You can have abnormal presentations. And because we're not on
Mhm.
top of our health, we're not on top of that concern because we think we're young, right? That happens to old people.
Right.
That's what ends up happening to these young people, and then they find out, oh my god, really, what do you mean there's damage? What do you mean I have my liver or this or that's been breaking down dead muscle
Hmm.
because my heart's been dying in my chest? What do you mean? And we don't realize, we really don't know. And I think we're really woefully misinformed, and so that's why we hear something like this. I think a lot of people are just in disbelief. He's only 56, he can't die of a heart attack. He's a thin guy, 56, seemed perfectly fine. Saw him on the stream yesterday. There's no way. There's no way.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
how
it's
we
like,
feel.
56 is I've seen, man, friends of mine that have been like 41, 42, 45, stuff like that. You think, oh, that's something that happens to an older person. And
Not
it's
anymore.
it's not anymore. It's not. Don't
Yeah.
think that. That's why I said do not go in there with that kind of mindset, thinking, oh, there's something that happens to somebody when they're 75 years old. And then you come to find out, well, like it's like cataracts. People like, oh, the doctor's looking. He said, okay, well, you got small cataracts. I said, okay, when are we taking these bad boys out? And he's like, well, you got about 20 years, man, before it becomes an issue.
Yeah,
Right?
they like, no, we want to wait until it gets bigger, and you'd be like,
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no. See, we don't know how the state of the world is going to be when the
yeah,
state,
I want to get it out now, but no,
you
they tell
know,
me you have time.
shoot, if I got to come, even if I got to come back, come back to New York and go across the border to Canada, where they'll do it for like cheaper than in the U.S. But I'm like, nah, man. I'm like, it's serious.
It
It's like I
is.
said, it's
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it's something that I guarantee he had. So he had the signs were all there. But we want to play Super Negro, and we're doing this and that, and man, that can't happen to me because I went to the doctor a few months ago, and he said everything was great. Well, when
Well,
you got a lot of stressors on you,
going to the doctor, that's a start right there. But
right?
like you were saying with
Mhm.
regards to stress, and that there may have been something that was there that he ignored. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we have to realize, life is stressful for everybody. So we're
Yes, it
all
is.
going through these stresses, and we're dealing with the stress, and we're just thinking it's just normal. But
Mm-hmm.
if you're finding that you have this headache, and this headache just won't go away. You've taken
Mm-hmm.
Excedrin, Advil, Aleve, whatever your
Mhm.
thing is, and it's not going away. Or, gosh, this pain in my chest. I burped. I took some Alka Seltzer. I drank some ginger ale. It's still there. When these
Mm-hmm.
things are like lingering, you have to go get it looked at,
Right.
because it could be
Address
just
it.
the start of something big. It might be a small start to something that's going to be huge later.
Mm-hmm. That's
I
right.
am.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Sure.
Oh, okay. I had mentioned that at work. I think it was, I don't know, a couple of streams ago we were talking, and I just mentioned how at work a job I had, and they were trying to make me make a quarter out of 15 cents. And then when I tried to leave the department, they started playing games and trying to write me up just to keep me there. Well, it was very stressful. It was a very stressful time for me, and I ended up taking some time off. My blood pressure was fine, nothing was going on, But when I went to the doctor, when I first went for intake, because they had wanted to keep me because the way I looked like I wasn't functioning too well.
Mm.
But I was. If you looked at me, I looked like I had Down syndrome. That's if you look me in the face, that's what I look like. And I told them I didn't want to be hospitalized, and they said, asked me why. I said because my mom is in the hospital, and she actually was in a nursing home, but I used the word hospital, and I guess they said, okay, well she seems to be all right, but I'm just mentioning that just to say how when I went through that, That was a very stressful time. And then when I had a situation well, actually, year before last, at work, because we're working from home, for whatever reason, it appears that the supervisors and management is gangsters now because now they're behind a, you know, screen. And I really had an issue with that because I'm like, wait a minute. When we were in the office, you didn't treat me like that. You didn't brush me off. You didn't do that. You paid attention. I asked you this question. You didn't say go find it out yourself. Wait a minute, what's going on? And it affected my work because I didn't get the answers or the correct answers. So that made my quality go down. And it became a bit stressful for me. And I had an issue with that. So I had um, got to a point where I put all the management name in there that need to be. I got my evidence, and I went as far just to say, well, I'm willing to be a whistleblower. I didn't say that, but if you read in between the lines, you knew exactly what I was talking about. I was not playing any games. You're not going to do this to me. You're going to take responsibility. So they took my letter seriously. Say, go ahead, take some time off, Miss Willie. You know, I know it's stressful. Take some time off. I'm like, okay. And I took some time off. And when I went to the doctor, I was just so nervous because I had left work early just to go to the doctor. And I was so nervous. It was a new place. I had to find a place. I thought I was going to be late. And that's one thing about me. I do not like being late. I think I did something wrong. Either I took the wrong bus and had to walk over, or I missed the bus. Something happened. I don't know. But anyway, between traveling and getting there, I was really nervous. So when she took my blood pressure, I'm like, what the world? I said, I could have told you that. I said, but I got some things going on. I said, I am stressed. I said, so yes, I'm sure the numbers are really strange right now, but we can take it later after I calmed down. So once I went and was talking to the doctor and, going to take a physical and all that, I'm doing deep breathing exercises. And she's like, oh, that's good. I'm like, yeah. I said, because I was really nervous. I said, I had a little tough time getting here. I have a few challenges at work. I said, I'm just trying to, I don't want to be very stressed. And I can feel it. I said, I feel that. And that's not a place I want to be. So you have to find different things. If you're dealing with stress, whatever it is, because you're going to deal with something, it's just called life. Try to find ways to minimize it and also deal with it, whatever it is. If it's a job, hey, wait a minute, we need to slow down here. Whatever it is, they call it time off, mental time off or mental break, whatever. If you need that, take that. Yeah. If you need to talk to someone, talk to someone. If you need to change jobs, do that. Whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. Because I promise you, if you don't show up, what they're going to do is replace you and keep it moving.
And that's exactly what they're gonna do. Believe me, because corporate America has no love for you like that. 'Cause trust me, I mean, I was management and a VP at Bank of America, and shoot, man, people when they got sick or they died, which a lot of them started doing all of a sudden. Man, okay, your replacement will be there by the end of the day. You know,
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
right. Now,
they don't care about you like that.
in my workplace, now I have had it in my workplace, I have had at least 5 people die at the job. And do you know my damn job never closed down? The door did not
Mhm.
close. They kept that door open. One of the people, they threw a tarp over that body and kept it moving.
Yep.
So my thing is I know that if I drop dead, my replacement will be in the next day. So
Hmm.
my thing was, and the way I see it is, I'm not gonna let this job kill me. You fools are not gonna stress me out. So, when it comes time to have time to myself, or when, it's time to go, bye, I'm leaving. I'm
And that's what
out.
people are doing. And that's why people are all of a sudden jumping up and leaving their jobs, and they can't figure out, okay, well, why is it that like 40% of all teachers are quitting their jobs, and you got nurses that are jumping up and saying, oh man, to hell with this. I
The
mean,
stress
'cause
ain't
there
worth
comes a
it.
time.
The
It's not
stress is
worth it.
not worth it.
And let me tell you, this is true. And my mother worked for 40 years, and she retired. And the day she retired and got her, she retired and she, finally home and all that good stuff, and got her first pension check in the mail. She died. The check
Mm-mm.
Wow.
and the check and the daggone the check and her checked out. So the thing of it is, man,
Wow.
40 years of working to only basically it's your first day where you can sit back, relax, and chill, and you died that afternoon of an aneurysm. And so that's why I tell people, that's why I looked at it, and she always would tell me that, hey, they don't give you 2 weeks notice when they fire you, do they? I can hear her now with that. And I say, yeah, and
Yeah.
I think about her sometimes when I got fed up with the gig and and the banking thing and everything, and I'd be like, man, the hell with this, man, I'm out of here. And I can find another one. But the stress of it all sometimes, it can cause you to shorten your lifespan. And
Yes.
it ain't worth it because when I got the DVT or whatever they call it, now mind you, perfectly good health, never take any meds. All of a sudden, in my 30s, I got a deep, what do you call it, a deep
Deep
vein
vein
Deep vein
thrombosis.
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 Deep
I
Hmm.
get,
vein
yeah, I
thrombosis.
get this,
Yeah.
and the guy, the stupid doctor at the emergency room, I'm like, yo, man, my temperature is like 104 degrees. My leg is like one big swollen, whatever, hot red. Like somebody stabbing me in the leg. I'm like, what the hell is this? He said, well, maybe it's a bug bite. I said, look, this is upstate
No.
New
Oh
York.
my God.
What
That's
kind
your
of freaking
leg.
snake or
Yeah.
bug do we have up here, you idiot? He was like, well, take this medication and go to your regular doctor when you can, first thing Monday morning. So I go to the doc.
Hmm.
He's like, my regular doc, he's like, what the hell? What did they tell you? I said, to go basically come to you, and he's like, nah, man, continue taking that. He said, give it about another day. Let's see what's going on here. If not, if it doesn't change within the day, take your behind over to the emergency room again. Okay, not a problem. So then nothing happened. It got worse, actually. I couldn't even put my shoe on, and so shoot, I go back and then now they get the attending doctor there, and she's like, well, what in the world? She's like, well, who told you that it was a bug bite or something? I said, that's the doctor right over there. Last week when I came in, she ran out the room and ran back and said, you ain't going nowhere. So we got to get you into some testing and everything else. And that's what they found out it was. And I was like, she's like, good thing you came back in. Because I'm like, I'm thinking, like, what the hell is this? Legs swollen, hot as all hell, 100 freaking 405 degrees. I'm sweating like a runaway slave, and I'm like, y'all telling me it's something going on, bug bite, you know, but we don't have any
Wow.
bugs like this in New York State, so. And so it was crazy. It was so. I mean, that's why, man. Some of these doctors, you gotta. You feel something's weird about it? Uh-uh. Get that trash. Just go to somebody else.
Oh yeah.
That's
Well,
true.
I told you about my mom who's in the chat. I don't know what she's doing up at midnight, mom.
Hey, Mama
It's
Ruby.
bedtime, Mama Rubes, bedtime.
Oh,
But
that's it.
no,
Okay.
but to your point that you were saying about like you gotta be your advocate. See, we were all born and raised in the system that lied to us and told us that doctors care about us and are also like these super geniuses at medical health. Both of
Exactly.
these things are not true. They told my mom for months and months that she had like the stomach flu. They kept sending her home from the emergency room as she lost rapid amount of weight. Her pain was just increasing, increasing. No one was doing anything to help her. And meanwhile, it was a giant cancerous tumor. So, I mean, this is something that, I've learned with my own health. I've watched both my parents have to learn. They don't care about you. They are
Mhm.
taught when they hear hoof beats, think, I don't know what, it's probably a horse in perfectly healthy condition that's just whining. Just give them a Tylenol, send them on their way. Like seriously, it's a very almost lazy system in North America that we've got going on.
Oh yeah,
Whereas
it
in
is.
right? There are places in Asia. I cannot remember which place in Asia. I can't remember if it was like China or Japan or whatever, but wherever it was, because I was watching like a documentary on healthcare systems. Ours is better than America's, but ours is still not even in the top five.
Right. Yeah.
But this other system, it's like number one and number two. The reason why it's so high is because doctors don't get paid for seeing a patient, right? They don't get
Mm-hmm.
paid for the 15 minutes they see you. They don't get paid for writing the sick note and whatever. They get paid when you're cured.
Mm-hmm.
So not even diagnosing you is enough. Until you're cured or treated, as in until you're back in good health, they don't get paid. If they have to see you 50 times and run 150 tests, they don't
Mm-hmm.
get paid until you are well. And that is a very good system. It's working very well. Their people are much healthier than ours, right? And no one's capitalizing on keeping you forever sick the way our systems are. Our systems are literally set up in such a way that the more chronically ill you are without dying, the better it is for your doctor, for big pharma, for big medical. So they want to
Mm-hmm.
keep you chronically ill, always at the brink of death, but not quite there. Healthy enough that you can keep going in and visiting, right? And
Yeah.
asking for more help, and you can keep swallowing more pills without it killing you. Like that's what our medical system is built on. So you have to realize that these people who paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to med school and now are hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and can
Mm-hmm.
barely keep their heads above water, they don't care about you. They're about to lose everything. They're living paycheck to paycheck just like you are. Their debt is forever, and all they really need you to do is go away, hopefully in less than the 15-minute appointment, so they can squeeze more people in so they can get paid more, because it's like everything else, right? They're not even getting paid for a superhuman treatment, so they don't give it to us. Why would they? You
Yeah.
know?
Because
I'm a
because
def-
the Canadian system is a uniquely different. I mean, living on the border like I did in Buffalo, um, it's a unique system because it's kind of like if you need something critical done, we would have a lot of Canadians come across the border if you want
Mm-hmm.
it done right away. Because in America, you can have it done right away. Okay, I can just go to Buffalo and have it done right that minute.
Mm-hmm.
But where it came up to like, I didn't realize Canadian doctors made less than American ones did,
Oh yeah,
considerably less, considerably.
considerably.
So they would do is get certified in America, so they could actually practice in America. So they can get paid a halfway decent wage.
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
and that's the part where it hurts so much up there. And then you got the taxes that are paying for it, GST, PST, all that stuff like that. And I was like, man, please. I mean, when a Canadian doctor makes, I no wonder why they come over here and want to go to an American medical school. You know.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to tell you a story about that, but I want to first shout out to Matthew. He has contributed to the channel,
Oh
so
hey
he
now.
has made She sing.
Thank you, Matthew.
You.
So She, you know what to do. Hit it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you, Sheed. Always standing in the background, just willing to sing for us. That's so sweet.
Right?
Oh, that she.
Okay.
Oh, I know
You
she
have a
she
lot of
had
voice
some
for it,
skills.
Sheed. A lot of voice.
Yeah.
And she can hold on.
The time that I mentioned that I went to for therapy when they were trying to hijack me at work or whatever they were trying to do to me, kidnap me, keep me there, something, abuse me. Um, One time when I was in with the therapist, and the therapist had asked me a question. Oh, I know what it was. I needed the paperwork filled out for my job. That's what it was.
Mhm.
And I was so concerned about it that that's all I talked about that session. He's like,
Yeah.
"How are you feeling?" "I'm not feeling so well. I need these papers filled out." And that doctor, the psychiatrist, when you go in there, he be trying to charge me $25. "Oh, don't worry about it. I can fill it out for you." But other than that, how are you sleeping? "I'm not really sleeping too well because I was thinking about these papers that I need filled out. Because I remember last time they charged me $25 and I'm not working now. And just to hold my job, I need this paper filled out so I can't, pay. Don't worry about that. I take care of it. So other than that, how you been doing? really hadn't been eating much because I was really worried about getting these papers filled out for my job and I kept it going. I kid you not. Every time he asked me how I was feeling, until I knew I was going to get those papers filled out for free, because I got tired of paying the $25 because they started doing that. The doctors started nickeling and diming people around 2005, I think it was 2005, 2006. I think. Let me see. Did I go back too far? No, I keep saying taking 10 years off. No, that's right. That's right. That's right. 2005, 2006. That's when they started nickel and diming me. So the last time when he asked me about how eating, and I told him, I wasn't eating too much. I really didn't have appetite because I was so concerned about the papers. And I said, I don't understand why this doctor is trying to get me to help pay for his student loans. And he slipped and laughed because a therapist is not supposed to laugh. They're not supposed to show those type of emotions. And so after, even though that happened, I didn't laugh because I didn't find anything funny. I was serious. I just wanted to make sure I got that paperwork filled out. I didn't say anything else about me being concerned about the paperwork because I knew he was going to fill it out after asking me about the sleeping and the eating and how I was feeling. But that's what they started doing, nickel and diming you. You walk up into a doctor's office, they'll put a sheet of paper on the wall, or they'll put a card up there they wrote up. Oh, any paperwork, $10. 2 pages, $15. And I'm like, is this even legal? I don't know. I haven't went through an insurance agency to ask them. But that's what they started doing. They are nickeling and diming people. So they just don't, they really don't make the money. So Ruby, back to what you were saying, it's like that here. They nickeling and diming. I have gone into an office for a visit, and I've seen where if a person was on Medicare, Medicare, so that's 65 and older, they were charging them, I think, $5. And I'm thinking, all these people are mostly retired. Why are they charging them $5? So it's a hustle here. It is no joke. It is a hustle. If they're not getting you on the front end, they're gonna get you on the back end with their medication.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, they
Well,
do.
the doctor doesn't benefit from the medication though, right? That's big
Right,
pharma.
right.
But I will say this because from my understanding, and I don't know 100%, obviously I'm not American, but from my understanding, there were things that the government used to cover, right? So therefore, they would pay these medical facilities, the doctors, whatever, for certain things, right? It was covered. And then they said, well, no, we don't want to cover anything, right? Their insurance can cover it, or the individual patient can cover it. And so, short of the doctor then paying for it out of pocket, well, someone's got to pay for it, right? These things all cost them money. It's not like they're not paying for it. And then, never mind the fact that most of these hospitals and other facilities, they're paying out of pocket to set up their facility tens of millions of dollars for some of these machines and all this stuff. And so they're very concerned, with charging people because they got to try to pay this exorbitant debt that they took out to set up this stupid facility to begin with, right? With no help from the government, which of course there should be some type of government subsidy. You want
Hmm.
clinics in these different areas and for all your people to at least be able to be seen. Well, why aren't you helping? Why are you making it so expensive? Fine, you don't want to have universal healthcare coverage like you do here. Fine, but shouldn't there be some type of not compensation, but balance? Like, okay, we're going to help you with basic needs as far as, the patient beds and equipment for this and that and the next. And we're going to set all that up. We're going to help you. You can go get a grant for that because you can get a grant for lots of other types of businesses. Why can't
Hmm.
you get a grant to set up things that are, desperately needed in the community to help people's health so they live and pay taxes, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you would think.
Yeah, yeah, you would think. Yeah, I mean, and these medications are astronomical. Some of them in price, especially like cancer meds, um, people that have MS and lupus and stuff like that, HIV. Those medications are really crazy. Insulin and stuff like that. I mean, I look at if I had to pay for insulin,
Hmm.
oh shoot, my bill would come out to about I think they said like 2 to 3 thousand a month.
That
Hmm.
is incredible. And
Mhm.
it's almost unbelievable. I looked it up. I didn't believe what I was hearing. I was hearing that the insurances were not picking it up. I had to actually look that up last year and found out a lot of medication is not covered. And I'm like, but how? This is a major healthcare plan. You don't cover these insulin? What?
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
No, now you
And
got to go
that's,
to Walmart and get it from there for like $25. Some people do. Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I've heard that. And as far as the machines and pumps and stuff, it's just, most people get a discount for that. That's not even covered. Those
No, but
are
it's
pricey.
it's basically a crime. It should be. I mean, and they have documentaries about it, about these people who, first of all, there shouldn't be a monopoly, but then people basically maneuver themselves into. I mean, I'm talking about big pharma, right? Into a monopoly over a particular drug, right, with the patents and whatnot. And then once they get that, they jack up the cost from what the actual cost was, where they were making a little bit of profit, but it's still reasonable, maybe $3, $4, to like,
Mm-hmm.
thousands. It was like, wait,
Right.
what? How did it get? How did inflation work by 10,000%? Like that's crazy, right? But
Hmm.
there's not actually as much as there's supposed to be protection, right, for the American population for them doing that. It's obviously only in theory, not in practice. And that's exactly why doctors from here leave and go there. A, because there's a ceiling on our doctors, right? So there's actually a ceiling. It doesn't matter what kind of specialist you are, it doesn't matter how great you are, it doesn't matter how long you work. There is a ceiling on how much you can make. You cannot make more than that, A. Um, and B, there's not really kickbacks in the same way, right? So, like the way American doctors get kickbacks for prescriptions and whatnot, right? Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'll prescribe this. And then if I do that enough, the farmer rep, I get a kickback. You can't really do that here because even though prescriptions aren't technically covered, the government subsidizes some of the cost of a prescription, even if you're paying it fully out of pocket. That's first. So our prescriptions are cheaper here out of pocket than they are in America. Um, but most people, there are things that are covered by OHIP. There are, of course, people who are on, welfare and whatever that covers your prescriptions. And then a lot of companies will give you insurance that cover your prescriptions, right? So then you're not fighting. It's not like the little person like me or whatever who's fighting because insulin is too expensive, right? It's mega corporations fighting big pharma because things are too expensive. So they can't really play the same games here
No,
that
they
they can
can't.
in America.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's why people would actually go across the border from Buffalo or Niagara Falls to Canada. No, like Fort
Hmm.
Erie and places like that, or or Hamilton or whatever, and Toronto, and got their medications from there because it was like a quarter of the price. Same thing on the Mexican border. People in California and
Hmm.
places like Texas, it's dirt cheap to go to Mexico. Come on, man, compared to here.
Hmm.
Mm-mm. So that's
Wow.
what they did. And we could go across the border, get the same insulin thing for 10, $15 there. Oh, okay, well, hell, then because it cost me what $75 here, or $100 or something. So
Mhm.
they would run across to Canada. Well, I don't know what people did with the border being closed. I think what for a year. I don't know what they did for that, but
Right.
it was closed for about a year or two, I think. So now it's open back up. Well, at least I think it is. um, but I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy.
It
Mm-mm.
is. And I'm
Yes.
finding out that more than likely you're going to see a nurse before you see a doctor when you go
Hmm.
for your
Well, that's already happening
visits.
now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's very
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. That's happening now. Huh? Because a lot of
Yes.
times you see a nurse practitioner,
Yep, the nurse
yeah,
practitioner.
or a physician assistant. You'll see one of them first, and if it's something too off the chain, then they'll send you to an MD. Um, from there. So.
Hmm. I'll tell you though, it's not much better to just see a doctor, depending on how unmotivated the doctor is. So again, I mean, I wish there was an option. Not that I have the money, but I would find a way. I wish there was an option to pay doctors for better care here. Um, because I mean, it's absolutely crazy that like for me as a patient, because I decided I'm going to go to one of the downtown, you know, special hospitals because some of the hospitals in your local area are so trash. It's terrible, right? Like the local hospitals were the ones who told my mom her cancer was a stomach flu with no, like they didn't even look at her, intestines or nothing. So I went to the downtown hospital. The thing is, the nurses there are trash. And I'm actually used to it being the opposite way. The nurses are normally great, and the doctors are trash. They take less than 5 seconds with you. They barely glance at your chart. And short of you actually hemorrhaging and dying, they don't care. And that's normally what you see, but it was the opposite way. These nurses were trash. They had zero interest in answering your questions and taking your patient history and anything. Like anything you wanted or wanted to bring up or needed or had questions, they would just keep calling the doctor. So this doctor, and I mean, she wasn't trying to rush, but like even when she was talking to me, she got called like 20 times. And it's just like she was trying to be attentive and whatever, but it seemed like the nurses were really not trying to do anything to help. And it's like one way or the other, what you have, unfortunately, are a lot of unmotivated people. And the very best of the best of our doctors tend to go to America where they can get paid. The ones that don't stay here and get burnt out, right? They really do. And so by the time you get to patients who need your attention, you're overworked, you're underpaid, and you miss stuff, right? Because it was only as I was leaving, for example, that it was noticed by the doctor, not by the nurses who should have noticed that my EKG was borderline, it needs to be repeated. But by then I'd been there for too long. I was tired, I was in pain, I wanted to go home. And so it's like, okay, we'll give you all these numbers. So you call these specialists tomorrow and whatever, right? But I'm like, but I could literally be walking out of here right now with a heart attack. But because the nurses are overworked and underpaid and the doctor is way overworked, with no one else helping, right? There's only so much they can do. And I'm 37, I'm relatively healthy except for what's happening. And, I'm imagining, and no one can come in with you, like, because of the pandemic. What about older people? What about people who don't know to advocate for themselves, or they're older so they can't, right? They're getting stuff overlooked all the time. My grandmother, literally, I saw her at Christmas. She was fine. I'm not now. This was several years ago. I saw her at Christmas. She's fine. January, they're trying to tell me not only does she have Alzheimer's, but like she lost her mind Alzheimer's. And I'm like, that's impossible. You don't get that sick that rapidly with Alzheimer's. I saw her. I said, it's not Alzheimer's. Y'all need to bring her to the hospital. There's something else wrong. And no one believed me because they brought her to her doctor and she just kept getting dismissed. And I'm like, you guys, please, someone just take my word for this. Finally, they decided to fight and advocate. She didn't have Alzheimer's. What happened was her pancreas was not working. So because her pancreas was not working, a woman who did not have diabetes until that point literally had nothing regulating her blood sugars, nothing. And so that's why she was losing her mind, right? Like it was, I can't remember what the name for it is. I'm pretty sure they put diabetic in there somewhere.
It's probably hype. I think it's hype. I always forget it. Hypo. I think it is. When you drop into the 40s and the 30s and all that stuff is dangerous because you're out of your mind. Then it's kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, I know when my sugars drop into like the 40s and 50s, you can forget about it.
I think it was the other way. Like she was psychotic. No, she was she wasn't like dragging her words and stuff. She was psychotic. Like she thought the TV was real. Like stuff like that.
Yeah, she might have been in the 500s, 500 and plus.
Yeah.
And she might have been the other direction, yeah.
Yeah, so, that way. So basically she was eating and nothing because I think your pancreas is part of like that whole system that regulates your blood sugar, right? Insulin. And hers was severely infected and was not regulating her insulin at all. Or her blood sugars at all. So her blood sugars were just at the roof all the time. And nobody noticed. Nobody noticed because they kept just dismissing this woman. Do you know what I mean? So there's a problem, on both sides of it. In America, if you can't afford it, you can't afford to pay, right? They don't look at you like, ooh, dollar signs. I'll invest time because this person can pay. then you're screwed. But in Canada, you're just screwed if they don't feel like it. Which, they have to like your face. That's what it is. They have to just independently choose to care.
That's jacked up. I want to
Yeah.
take a little small break. Now, I dropped the links in the chat room for you all with the heart disease and blood pressure. So you guys can look at that at your leisure. And when I get the information later about um, the place where you can put your information for your blood pressure to get your average, I'll put that in the description area um, sometime this week, well, next week rather. When I get that, and I'll pin it in the comment section. And then after that, I put the StreamYard link in there for whoever wants to come up and join the conversation. Now, earlier I was telling you that, I get to know people and everything. And look, our friend Chaos, he just showed up as soon as I put that link in there. And
Oh, chaos is
Chaos,
in
Chaos is right up. He came out of nowhere. I put the pin, for whatever reason, I put the StreamYard link and he just showed up. So
Oh, okay.
the
Yeah, I see him down there. Yeah.
So the video I made for him is right on point, and I'll take a little break and show that to you. Here you go.
Now I'm going to hit this next button across the bottom here, which is to invite guests. So we press on this, and it gives us a unique URL, a unique link that we can send to our guests. And when they click that link, they're able to be brought into our live stream.
Splendid, darling.
He can't help himself. He's just so excited.
Damn, was that really his voice saying "splendid, darling"?
That was his voice.
It sounded like it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Char's too petty.
Well, hopefully when he grabs the link, he actually will contribute to the conversation, because we're just not going to sit up here. You already know. So you coming on, Chaos, come on and participate.
Oh my. But yeah, I think that, and the thing is, I think it's funny. It might get mentioned here and there by random folk, but I do think that generally what we're not going to see in these streets is a discussion like this again. I just don't, because the thing is with a discussion like this, right? Like, we're sharing our stories and whatever, but I think it's important to recognize that when a topic like this comes up, in essence, what we're doing is we're not pointing a finger at any particular age, at any particular gender, right? It's not about any particular weight or whatever. We're literally saying, hey, all of us, collective as a whole, you and you and you, all you individuals, you have to take some accountability now for your own state of health, and recognize that it's not a surface issue, a skin deep issue. That's it. No, this is a deep issue in every choice that you make, as far as what you're eating. How much are you moving? Our bodies, our hearts were literally made to move, right? They don't like to sit around and do literally nothing for 15 to 20 hours a day. They don't. It's literally not what our bodies were made for. Our bodies were not made to carry hundreds and hundreds of pounds of excess fat. Our hearts were not made to function with a giant belt of fat around our midsection. Like, these are just all things. Our bodies were not made to function with zero fat either. And just, you're just all skin and bones. We weren't made to function like that, right? So it's on you as an individual. And if you don't take care of yourself from now, when things are already good, when these things come about, and they will come about eventually, because you're not immortal, then the only person you have to blame is yourself, right? So you have to start caring about your health from now, instead of focusing on how some other group that's not you isn't doing what they need to do. Like, are you doing what you need to do? Are you thinking about what it is you need to do? Are you living the healthiest life? Are you drinking every weekend and smoking cigars and smoking and eating, Five Guys burgers all the time and whatever? Like, what are you doing in your day to day life? Right? Are you just putting on a bunch of weight and pretending it's water weight and pretending you still 17, you could drop it no problem? Like, because all those things, as you get older and older, they become more and more damaging, and it's harder and harder to reverse those effects. And you're creating damage, long lasting damage, the heart disease. That is the number one killer in our community. Number one. Like, think about it. I want y'all to
Yeah.
realize number one. And we know how many other things we got killing us that we're super concerned about. We talk about all the time. This is the number one killer. What are we doing? Like, why don't we care about this? Why don't we ever talk about this? It's really crazy. As a community, we're not like hyper focused on these issues.
Yeah.
Because we're too caught up in the effery of
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
people on here. I mean, I'm serious. They're too caught up in the effery of YouTube. I mean, fighting battles against people that is kind of like, why are you arguing with a virtual person to a certain degree? I mean, 'cause you're on one end of the country, and I'm on the other end of the country.
Hmm.
Right. And all these different seasons. Every
Hmm.
season should be health season, not winter coming and this is coming. No, health is coming, and we need to pay attention to it all year round. We lost some time. I don't know if you don't remember, but there was this thing called a pandemic when things were shut down and you were in the house. You were not moving unless you just
Hmm.
decided to move in your basement, outside your yard,
Right.
your living room. But more than likely, you weren't.
Mm.
And that took a little toll on some people. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
So come
Cause,
on now.
'cause- yeah, because mental health is important too, as they're finding out because of this whole pandemic thing that affected everybody this time around. It wasn't like just one country. I know when it
Yes.
happened, when it was SARS, I think. You guys had up in Canada. God, what was
Hmm.
that? Like about 20 years ago, I think, and it shut Toronto down for like a while, and stuff
Wait,
like that. So,
what shut us down? Huh?
oh, it was a SARS, I think it was. They had back.
Nothing. We never shut down because of SARS. No.
No, it was what else? Something that happened in Canada that was like they we didn't have as big of an issue with it. Mars,
I don't
being
know.
what
Maybe
was
y'all
in
just
it?
didn't care about it. I mean, people were wearing.
Yeah,
Well, no, Chinatown was wearing masks. We
yeah,
thought
they
that
did.
them
Yeah,
wearing masks meant that they had SARS, even though that's not what it was. So we were
right.
all scared of Chinatown. But no, the everything kept going. Like we had
Kind
it
of kept
going
going,
for
yeah.
like
Because I know it was
yeah.
something, yeah. Because they tried to make it sound like, oh my God, it's like, but this time around, everybody, this has affected everybody across the board,
Mhm.
and even here in a good old red state, in the good old fashioned South here, people still wearing masks and still doing all that distancing stuff. So it's it affected a lot of people mentally,
Yeah.
you know, as
No
Mhm.
much as it
joke.
did physically.
Yes.
So that's why
Right.
you can't get a psych visit somewhere. I mean, for somebody to talk to you about some issues, some problems. I
You
mean, it's a
know,
good
Mhm.
we had a few jokes about that people got a chance to be reacquainted with their spouse or their children and realized that they didn't know them too well, but they didn't spend that much time with them. And a lot of people started having fights and stuff and
Yep.
separations and all kind of things. Be
Shoot.
surprised.
Be acquainted with their spouse and ended up being deadly. So, I mean, that's the thing about it. It's crazy. Or their kids that they didn't have to see all day long. Now they got to homeschool them. So this whole thing has put a toll on people that
Yeah.
you know
You know
that I
what
don't think gets
though?
addressed. Yes, man.
By and large, because this is the thing that people don't realize. The pandemic has been very very hard on single people, very hard. Um, in that say, as far as the emotional, mental repercussions, because we're social beings. And
Hmm.
so when you're suddenly shut off of socialization, you realize how important it is to have, say, a spouse, family, whatever, because you don't have them. and you're not allowed to go out anywhere. And you used to fill that hole with going to clubs and going to this and going to that. So you never had to be alone. And especially in the younger generations, right? They couldn't deal. That's why they kept going to raves and parties and, being super spreader events, because they could not deal with the loneliness, because they didn't realize how much they were feeling every moment of loneliness with randoms.
Mm-hmm.
But what ended up happening with a lot of people who did have spouses, children, families, and whatever, yeah, there was, of course, the effect of some people realize, wow, I hate all of you. I hate my kids. I hate my spouse. I want to get the hell out of here, right? Like that
It's true.
definitely happened, right? It did. But
Hmm.
actually, the majority went the whole other way. People started repairing themselves. They started repairing relationships with their spouse and building and bonding with their kids again and becoming healthy, whole families. So then when they were now going to work from home, okay, that's cool. But when you want them to go back to the rat race, they didn't want it,
Yep.
because they realized that having to live on a budget and not having as much money and being limited financially and not being able to go on vacations was not as important as what they had gained. And to gain that love and support and happiness and peace and fun and whatever with your family, with your spouse and your household was so much more valuable than getting that raise, or getting respect from your boss. They realize they don't care about that as much as they have been programmed their whole lives to care about it. And so they want no part of it. So if you're not going to make it easy for them, if you're not going to allow them to keep that peace, they would rather sacrifice it, than sacrifice their family, right? A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people were borderline, because just life is hard. A lot of millennials were borderline in their relationships, and then they went one way or the other. But the ones that went the good way, they're like, oh no, screw the rat race, no thanks. And I'll be real with
Yeah.
you. I've been complaining about it constantly. Ever since Mr. Ruby went back to work, I complain almost every single day. I don't want him to go to work. I would rather him stay home. I'm so
So Mr.
serious.
He
Yeah.
said, Mr. Ruby, stay home.
Yeah, I do. I'm like, you could just quit your job. I say it all the time, and I'm not even joking. Like, yeah, there's a part of me realizes we'll be homeless, but like that part of me is not as concerned. No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'd
You're
rather
living in
him
a tent?
stay home. It was such a good 4 or 5 months. I loved it. I loved every moment, and so did he. Like, he's taken more time, random weeks off or days off or whatever, just because it's like, oh, it's so nice to have him here, and he feels the same, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
some of us felt like, ooh, yeah, no, screw the rat race, screw all that extra money, extra this, extra. I'm good. I'm good. We could chill. Like, I don't need to go out. I don't need to have friends. I don't. No, I just want him to stay home. Like, just call in sick. You don't really want to go to work, do you, babe? You don't need money or self confidence or a feeling you're a provider. You don't need any of that as a man, right? You're good. You're good. You have me. It doesn't work.
No,
He's
that
too
doesn't.
much.
I would say I don't think that worked out too well for you. No.
No, no, I tried.
Well, no,
I
unless he had an
tried.
office kind of job where he could stay at home and do it. But more, unfortunately, a lot of us are not blessed to have, to have that. You know,
Yeah.
it's you get either, like you said, either work to the positive or to the negative when you were home with that person. I mean, to my wife and I, it was like, okay, it was great. Because
Mm-hmm.
we like I said, we have horses and stuff, so it's kind of like, okay, I'm outside anyway. So
Oh.
Hmm.
so it's kind of like, and she's a school teacher, and so it's kind of like, okay, she's doing it all from school, from home anyway. So man, I was like you, Ruby. I'm like, okay, I got comfortable with this. I
Hmm.
think she did too, and she was like, God keeps from home. I mean, like permanently. I said, well, yeah, if you homeschool, you just won't get a paycheck. but
Oh yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I said, besides that, no, unfortunately, you know. 'Cause like you said, going when the rat race started all back up again, it's like, nah, you're not feeling this. You're not feeling this,
Right.
bro.
Yeah. Your mind changes on a lot of things. You realize some things are just not as important as you thought it was.
Right,
That
right.
you can live off of less.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even need these things in the first place. I'm not buying this
Hmm.
anymore, or whatever you decide. Because being at home, it means something. You either you have what you need or you don't. And then
Mm-hmm.
you get to see these things that you have. You're like, I'm not even using this. I don't need this.
Right.
Why do I have that?
Yeah, true. You start
Hmm.
really thinking about all of that. Definitely, man. Oh, what's good? Oh, Gab is up. Okay, what's up, Gab? I ain't seen him in a minute.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a long
That's
time.
what I'm
I didn't even know he was still
saying.
around.
Yeah, what's going on, brother?
Yeah,
Greetings,
okay.
Gab. Greetings.
But you know
Yeah.
what's funny is a lot of people, right? So, and again, it's the same thing with the pandemic. You saw people gain an average of 20 pounds, right? It's like this
Mm-hmm.
thing, the pandemic pounds. Like it's kind of like your first year of college, right? Like freshman 15. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but for pandemic, but some people went the opposite way with it again.
Hmm.
um so like my cousin, for example, and she's one of those ones where she's had a thyroid issue almost her whole life. Like her thyroid was huge in the base of her throat at like 8, 9 years old. She stopped taking her thyroid medication at 17, 18. She thought it would help her lose weight. And said she developed thyroid cancer, so her thyroid was removed at 18. And so she has been, basically low thyroid, therefore her whole life. So at least chubby her whole life. And she started really piling on the pounds in her 20s. And of course, society gave her the big fat excuse of, well, you have a thyroid and you actually have a real condition. You have a glandular problem. Therefore, you can't lose weight. Well, during the pandemic, she learned that is a total crock because she had a lot of free time on her hands. She works with children, therefore, there was no way she was going in. And the schools were not open, and she started walking. That was it, just walking. She didn't start doing a whole bunch of crazy stuff initially. She just started walking. And like I said, our bodies are made to walk. That's why cardiovascular health is different than building muscle. Right? Our bodies are made to
Hmm.
walk. And her just walking, and she just increased and increased. Started at 3 kilometers, and then got to like 9 kilometers and whatever. And she was just shedding weight. And I remember I saw her at my cousin's wedding in September. And like I didn't mean to be rude. I know it was kind of like a rude response. It was like, wow, you look great. Like I was like, that was my, so I was just, I hadn't seen her that thin since she was like a kid, right? Um, and then, now she's lost even more. And it's more about, it's not even just like, she's not super skinny or whatever, right? It's just,
Hmm.
she just looks so much healthier. She looks better. She looks younger. She looks healthier. She looks happier, and she is happier and healthier. And it came from, she had way more time. So instead of wasting it, let's sit in front of more movies with more potato chips and more whatever. Well, more time means you have more time to prepare yourself some meals. You have more times to be physically active. You're not allowed to go out in groups. Okay, well, why don't you just go for a walk? Go walk to something and back. Go take up soccer again. Is another thing she did. Or things, sports you could do outside. It's just like our choices really dictate our outcomes, and we don't even really realize how many stupid choices we're making. Like Joe said, you got a deep vein thrombosis. He's not like 65,
Hmm.
70 and comatose in a bed, right?
Right.
Like
Hmm.
on bed rest somewhere. No, this is from you sitting in a chair for hours upon hours in an office all the time. And like that's crazy. Those are very dangerous. They could break, pieces of it can break off and travel to your heart and to your lungs and
Right.
whatever. And it's like that's just from you being inactive, right? Like, I mean, like at the end of the day, that's what it is. And we don't realize how much our bodies don't like being this sedentary, right? The kind of sedentary, lazy lifestyle that North American culture has provided us. We can drive everywhere, so we don't have to walk, right? All of our
Right.
jobs are seated. All of our chairs have backs. You don't even have to like hold yourself up, upright, because you could just lean. You could always recline. Your couch, you recline. Everything you were reclining. You don't have to do anything ever, right? So
Lean
we're,
with it, rock with it.
yeah, that's it. That's all we do.
Exactly. There you go.
All in the
Mm-mm.
chair.
It's crazy. It's crazy how lazy we are. And, I mean, again, most people are already back, to work or, back to reality. But, I hope that some people are putting all these, pieces together and saying, hey, you know what, maybe I should do something that's not eating potato chips and then drinking and smoking a couple cigars this weekend to unwind. Maybe I should not do that because, I'm not as young as I think I am in my head. I'm not 17 anymore. My body won't just bounce back like that. Like, hopefully we reached a few hearts or minds or something.
Okay. Just get a little active. Get your regular checkups. And Matthew, he had mentioned in the chat room that he had just stopped eating after 6 o'clock, and it helped him lose some weight. So, the intermittent fasting, walking, because, I get it. Walking in your mind, at least it did for me at first. I'm like, what that's going to do? But if you think about it, you're moving. You're moving yourself. You're moving yourself. So all that, whatever it is, how small, big it is, you're moving it. And if you move it for a distance, eventually you just you're gonna burn some calories. That's the bottom line.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
Yeah.
there it is.
It's a different kind of movement too. Like people, I've heard
Hmm.
a lot of people say, I stand on my feet all day, right? Standing is they're a completely different set of muscles that you're using than for dynamic movement, like walking. And then walking is a different movement than running. You might
True.
think, oh, well, I lift boxes all day. I stand on my feet all day. So I am active. That's actually not cardiovascular health. Um, right. And people don't realize that, like, your heart and lungs are not getting a good workout or not getting strengthened, because you stand on your feet all day. That's not what it is. Or, maybe the lifting boxes at first, because you're not used to being physically active, maybe at first, but then eventually it becomes easy for you. Once it becomes easy for you,
Hmm.
your heart and your lungs not getting workout. But walking, interestingly enough, right? Like, you'll be able to walk longer and longer distances, yes, but one way or the other, even if you're only getting an hour walk in every single day, it actually is always going to continue to benefit you. Just
Even
just
if it's
walking.
20 minutes a day.
Hmm.
I used to run track in college. And running on the body it's very hard on the body. It's hard on the knees, it's hard on the joints. And so, but I enjoyed running.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
at this point in my life, I'm not running anywhere unless I'm running for my life. I'm not running for any type of exercise. I'm not running for any sports. I'm not running any damn where unless I'm running for my life.
With a
But
gun and a knife. Yeah.
what I will do is I will walk, because you know what? I have to walk to get from point A to point B anyway. So why not walk, with a
Hmm.
purpose, Um, I like to go on the trails. I like to do walks, being out in nature. I live by the ocean.
Nice.
It all works. And I can do a nice 20, 30-minute walk every single day, and it works for me. And guess what? I'm not
Hmm.
run down at the end of it. I've taken in some great sights. I've, got my lungs moving, and I feel good because I've been out in the sun, gotten my little
Hmm.
dose of vitamin D. But, a lot of people think that they have to like be sweating and, eating celery sticks and, working out 4 hours a day. You don't have to do that. You
Nope.
don't. So
Nope.
I'm not running anywhere. I'm not running anywhere.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna walk, and it can be a brisk walk, but walking is very healthy for you. You'd be surprised at what you can do to your body and how you can shape your body up just by getting your walks in.
Just by walking. And that's the thing people don't realize. Like, because, say running for the same amount of time, might burn more calories. And that's what people
Hmm.
are so focused on, right? Again, because it's all about the aesthetic. But we're not talking about calories here, because you can burn all the calories in the world and still have a very weak heart and lung system. Right. And that's what, 20 minutes, 15 minutes of walking every single day. If that's the only thing you do, if you only have 15 minutes, walk for 15 minutes. Like, walk outside. A treadmill is because it's not this. You don't have to use all the same muscles that you do when you're walking freestyle outside. Um, but just the walking itself is so good for your entire body and your heart and your lung health, right? So if you only have 15 minutes, don't just lift weight for 15 minutes or feel like, oh, I got to do 15 minutes of push ups or squats or something, super taxing. Because yeah, okay, I guess maybe that'll focus on some muscle building more. And yeah, you got to keep increasing how much you're stressing out your muscles to build muscle, but you don't have to increase constantly to get the good health for your heart and your lungs. You really don't. You just have to walk. That's why they have the step counters, right? Just
Yes.
getting 10,000 steps a day
It'll
in
say
whatever
10,000.
context. Amazing.
Yeah, 10,000 steps a day.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I mean, and another one I would say, which a lot of people don't think about, is actually this may seem crazy in a sense, but you need proper night's sleep.
Oh hell yeah.
Hmm.
Yes.
Sleep will
That's
mess your
first and
program up.
foremost. People
Hmm.
will sleep on sleep. You have to get your sleep. You have
Right.
to get your rest. Your body, it needs its rest. It needs to repair. I mean, I
Hmm.
went for a long time in my life where, my job, I had to be at my job really early in the morning.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So I didn't get very much sleep at night, and that wasn't healthy. Um, I wouldn't get more than maybe 5 hours of sleep at night, and that's not good. Your body needs at least 6 hours up to 9 hours of sleep. And when you're sleeping, your body, it repairs itself. It rejuvenates, it regenerates. It does all of that. So you cannot continue to push and push and push and not, rejuvenate yourself, not shut
Hmm.
your body down and let it rest.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. And that's
Absolutely.
why I said
needs
don't.
that.
That's why you can't sleep. No pun intended. But you can't sleep on sleep, like you said,
You're
because
right.
man,
You cannot sleep on sleep. That's
because
true.
I know cats is like 2 hours a night, or they have insomnia, or they narcolepsy or whatever else. I mean, there's nothing to play with. You just all of a sudden pass out in the middle of the day while you're driving a vehicle, maybe, or something like that. You don't want to end up a statistic. So
Yes.
yeah, everybody out there that's listening, man, sleep is just as important, man,
Right.
and because it's nothing to play with.
Not
But
at all.
mm-mm. But we've been doing the
Hmm.
health thing here for the last couple of hours, and I want to
Yes.
thank you, ladies, for having me up
You
on
are
the
welcome.
It was nice
Ruby and
having
Sean.
you,
Really,
Joe.
really nice talking to you too, Wanda. We're going to do this again.
Anytime.
Definitely, Joe.
Every
Thanks for
Friday.
Yeah,
coming
'cause I like to
back.
try to. Yeah, and I'll try to catch you guys when you're when you're doing your stuff. The Karens especially are funny when you were doing through the I, I don't know. I got this attachment. My wife's like, "Why are you watching these Karens?" Because I'm like sitting there rolling. Now some of them are hilarious.
Hmm. Well, see, what happened is, Joe, we heard about how, Black women are, the masculine, disrespectful ones, and,
Hmm.
how there's this other demographic of white, women, for
Hmm.
example, in the majority demographic, and those women are the feminine, submissive ones. So we just want to
Yeah, right.
see about half an hour of the feminine, submissive population do their thing. So we came up with the Ken and Karen segment.
Yeah, because that mess had me rolling, man. I'm like, I'm sitting there between watching y'all and then watching other people that are doing the Karen thing. I'm like, these people, some of them are crazy. I'm like, I just can't see doing this mess, you know. But I mean, it's not just an American thing; it's a North American thing, you know.
Hmm.
Our brothers and
Hmm.
sisters up in the Great White North, and they cutting up there too. So it's like,
Oh
okay,
yeah. Oh
yeah, 'cause
yeah.
some of the craziest ones have come from there, you know.
And Britain. Don't forget, we do Britain with
Yeah, oh
British
yeah,
ones
the
too.
British
Come
ones,
on now.
yeah, the British ones is funny too, because man, I'm sitting there rolling, man. Dude, go sit there and argue with the dad going what is it, RCMP, and argue with him, and then hit the guy. I'm like, man,
Hmm.
you didn't expect to go to jail for that, But nah, but this some of them, man. I mean, what is it? The Karenicity is what one guy calls it. So,
Hmm.
and some of them are
Hmm.
sad though too. Some of them are like the straight up crazy. Um, I don't know if you've seen the one with the young lady, the two young ladies were like a minute late for class at some college in Georgia, in Atlanta, and the professor called the cops on them, and the police showed up, and
Wow.
she put them out and everything because they were a minute. I think it was a minute or two late. And the class hadn't started yet. It's just the minute she started tripping. They said, and she went called the cops, brought them back, and they came in and took the two young ladies out.
Uh-huh.
He was going to arrest them and everything. She's like, wait a minute, what kind of mess is this? And so some of them end up serious like that too.
Hmm.
Wow.
So Yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, you got a lot of crazy behind people out here. But no, I'll let y'all guys go ahead and do your thing, do your do. Because I know chaos is probably still down. I don't know if
You
chaos is
didn't
still
hit
down
the
there or not.
link?
He was
Huh?
afraid.
Yes, we were looking for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were invited. He never comes when he's invited. That's
He
not his
doesn't.
thing.
We wanted you to
You
bring
know,
the
because
chaos, chaos. Bring the chaos. We were waiting for it.
no chaos is everywhere today, man. Because this is like the day of mourning on some platforms, and it's a day of cheer for other platforms. With this whole thing with Kevin Samuels, so it's like chaos been a little bit everywhere. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay far away from that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Stay far away from that one. So. But no, ladies, have a good night. It is 12 o'clock midnight for some of us, and
Yes.
I got little horses to feed in the morning.
All right,
All right.
Joe.
But no, ladies, we'll talk again soon.
All
Okay,
right.
thanks
Yep,
Talk
again.
again
definitely.
soon.
All right, have a good night.
Good
All right,
You
night,
too,
Joe.
Joe.
Good
you too.
night.
Bye-bye.
And I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you so much for the contributions. Thank you for those who hit the like button, shared. All that is important, and I appreciate all of it. Tune in tomorrow. We're going to, as Joe was talking about that Ken and Karen. I know that's what y'all be coming in for, but we do have news articles and stuff to let you know what's happening. 'Cause some of this stuff it doesn't get out, and some of it you may have heard of, but tune in into us tomorrow anyway for article reaction at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I think you'll enjoy yourselves. I think you will.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you for the serious conversation. I just refuse to jump the bandwagon or whatever you want to call it. I didn't say much when he was alive. Don't have much to say anymore, after this. But um, do take care, everyone. It is important for your health. Um, care about your people. That's what I have to say. Care
Right.
about your people, those that
Mm-hmm.
are around you. Care about yourself. It's very It's just very important. You only have one life to live. Make it to be the best you can, you know,
Right.
please.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I'll say on that. And hope to see you guys tomorrow. And until we meet again, peace.
Cheers, y'all.
Peace out, family.